Tony, Southside.
Good morning, Amy Lamb, and with all due respect and admiration, Dan the Dork.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You didn't know what Palantir was referencing, did you?
Palantir, it's the word of the day, folks.
Yeah.
I had it for dinner last night.
No, I appreciate the education. However, I've been on this mud ball for a long time, and I've seen a lot of protests over the years. Now, here's what's fascinating. That hokey pokey, left foot in, left foot out kind of chant that these guys were doing sounded like something from a sitcom, okay? Now, if any other CEOs outside of Kraft and all these other billionaires don't recognize that they cannot hire these people, well, we're all lost in this world. That's all I want to say.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Yeah. I mean, it does sound like from a sitcom, but it also sounds from like Heaven's Gate or a Scientology conference.
Dan, Columbia University has announced that they're going hybrid till the end of the spring semester.
Well,
professors holding
first.
classes or hybrid are not where hybrid is not optional. We're asked to consider remote participation or provide other accommodations. Oh boy, virtual learning. Where have we seen this before?
Well, no one should be safe until Brotherly Love Spice's kid is unsuspended from Barnard. That would be a nice olive branch.
Yes.
Matt, Mount Greenwood.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. It's no wonder why over the course of time millions of people have gone to the slaughter without a fight. It's just I can't believe the stupidity and ignorance of these people. But one nice thing, if they got really, really upset, if they all drank the Kool-Aid one day, if they couldn't handle it on this mud ball any longer, if they all drink the Kool-Aid, it'd be a great day for the humanity. Have a good day.
Oh, no.
Thanks for the call, Matt. I'm sure he's being that, metaphorically.
Right, I know, but we know how that ends.
Poorly for the Kool-Aid drinkers,
What's his name again?
right?
Jimmy Jones.
Well, here's the thing too. Yeah, right. Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, thank you.
Yeah,
that
right.
movie just freaked me out.
You may refer to him as Jiminy. I don't know what your relationship was, but sounds
we
very.
weren't in a cult, no. But I remember that whole. I've just been glued to the TV, going, "What in the world is going on?"
Well, Tony from the South Side, he makes a good point about these people with their shiny credential from an Ivy League or a Seven Sister or an MIT. Probably get plum jobs in corporate America. Maybe less so. Maybe there's more people like Alex Karp paying more attention. Maybe, but if not in corporate America, where they get paid a lot, they can get paid a lot to be an automaton in the media. You don't need to. You don't need to innovate. Like you don't need to be a coder, or software developer, or a finance whiz. You can just be somebody that reads the talking points. You can be, photogenic enough to read the talking points for big money, and then you can be one of these people.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about the trouble and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
the sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias.
It's a soft landing for all those Columbia students, isn't it?
Oh my God! Today, breezy, light morning rain, a high of 63 degrees, 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's the same anger from California to Michigan to New York. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Anti-Israel protests on college campuses. That's at New York University, similar to the demonstrations at Columbia, where they're shifting to hybrid learning, allowing some to take classes remotely.
Pro-Palestinian protesters continue to cause disruptions, and Jewish students say they do not feel safe. But Officials at New York University asked the NYPD to help disperse a large group of demonstrators who are calling on the school to divest from Israel. Police reportedly arrested nearly 50 people at Yale University after they refused to clear out an encampment there.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. Former President Trump will be back in court this morning and may comment going in about it being political persecution like he said when leaving yesterday.
This is a Biden witch hunt to keep me off the campaign trail.
This morning, the judge will consider the DA's claims that the former president has violated a gag order 10 times. It was imposed to restrict Trump comments about the case. He's charged with falsifying records and payments to keep an alleged affair quiet in 2016.
The hearing follows the first witness, Trump friend and former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker. Prosecutors expect will later today outline for the jury what they say was the illegal scheme to sway the 2016 presidential election for the president by burying negative stories about Trump. But Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, said those type of non-disclosure agreements are legal.
Fox's Eric Shawn outside the court. The Senate will vote today on the foreign aid bill the House passed Saturday. $61 of the $95 billion would go to additional military assistance for Ukraine in the war against Russia. But Republican Senator Rick Scott wants his party to block the aid, telling Fox our top priority should be stopping illegal immigration.
Look, I want Ukraine to win. I want Russia to lose. But I want a secure southern border.
A disaster in Malaysia. 2 military helicopters collided in midair, killing 10 people. The debris crashed onto the ground, injuring a swimmer in a pool. America's listening to Fox News.
56 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police are still searching for the person responsible for the shooting death of an off-duty police officer over the weekend. Officer Luis Huesca was shot and killed early Sunday in the 3100 block of West 56th Street. At an unrelated event yesterday, Mayor Brandon Johnson was asked why he didn't stand with police when Huesca's death was announced.
I thought it was important that I spend time with the family, because that's what my responsibility is.
CPD is releasing surveillance videos of the person wanted in connection to the shooting, apparently making purchases at 2 nearby convenience stores. Authorities warn that person should be considered armed and dangerous. Meantime, nearly all of the aldermen in high violence wards want to keep shot spotter technology in their neighborhoods. The highly successful warning system was used by Chicago police to rush squad cars and emergency help to the site of the shooting death of Officer Huesca.
We've seen case after case where it brought an emergency response, an ambulance, and the police department.
Aldermen and women will get the chance this week to move an ordinance that puts the gunfire detection tech back into the hands of individual city council members and would override a blanket ban being pushed by Mayor Brandon Johnson. A jury convicts a woman charged in the gruesome death of her landlord on Chicago's North Side in 2022. Sandra Kalalu was found guilty yesterday of first-degree murder, dismembering a body, and concealing a homicidal death. Sentencing is set for June 20th. And the Bears are apparently gearing up to unveil new plans for a domed lakefront stadium. The team will detail their plans, they say, tomorrow to build that publicly owned, enclosed stadium. White Sox fall to the Twins 7-0. Cubs host Houston tonight. And the Bulls are trying to bring back a key player. The team is offering a 2-year deal to forward DeMar DeRozan this week. The News is a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees Trump dead on.
The world's on fire, and we have this idiot in the White House to blame. Now, normally a talk show host says things like that, not the Republican nominee for president. But it's where we are, and this is what the left doesn't get, and the Trump haters never recognize. Millions of Americans relate to this and say, you're right, you're right, you're right.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The answer.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
For over 23 years, Applied Mechanical Sales has offered boilers, water heaters, and exhaust venting to commercial mechanical contractors. They aid in the selection of standard and high-efficiency hydronic system equipment for replacement or new construction. From schools to churches to high-rises and hotels, Applied Mechanical provides high-quality, cost-effective Camus boilers and water heaters in many of Chicago's most iconic buildings. Mechanical design firms trust Applied Mechanical to support them by specifying the size and type of boilers to best match a building's load profile for the worst of Chicago weather conditions. Engineers and contractors can be confident that they'll experience trouble-free operation for the next 15 to 20 years. Applied Mechanical Sales ensures their boilers are properly installed and operate at peak efficiency long after the initial startup. Go to appliedmechanicalsales.com to schedule a site visit and boiler replacement assessment. That's appliedmechanicalsales.com.
6:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Police activity reported in River North this morning, Grand and State. On the toll roads this morning, heavy and slow traffic. On the Reagan, I-88 eastbound, right at Roosevelt. Tri-State jamming up northbound, right at the Eisenhower merge. The Dan Ryan, 14 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our Revive Your Lawn Weather Center, here is Steve Williams.
Clouds and breezy rain this morning. A thunderstorm later on this afternoon. High 63. Thunderstorm early this evening. Partly cloudy, cold tonight. Low 39. Partly sunny, breezy tomorrow. The high 50. Sunny to partly cloudy on Thursday with a high 60. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
56 at O'Hare, 58 at Midway. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy updating the details on the murder of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca. As you heard of Mike Scott's newscast, police now have, it's alternatively being reported a person of interest and a suspect. I'm guessing it's more likely a suspect. This a video image of a black man in a convenience store near the shooting, near where Officer Huesca was murdered. And just a few minutes before he was murdered, police want to identify and talk to this person. So if you haven't seen it, to check it out. It's online.
Yeah, we'll
everywhere
tweet it
now.
out because there's two different clips. He's walking into this convenience store multiple times wearing once a black puffy jacket with the hood up, but he has glasses on. He has a slight mustache. He doesn't have AirPods. He's got the old-fashioned, with string that leads to your iPhone headset on. He's, and then there's another picture of him wearing black jeans and a different, like a gray sweatshirt. They recovered the SUV, but the officer's weapon is still missing, and part of his uniform is missing. That's what My source told me yesterday.
His badge has been reported. Your source, his badge was taken too.
Right.
But one thing that has not changed is Brandon Johnson's position. He's been pressed since ShotSpotter first alerted police to the shooting. Part of this discussion has been, well, now maybe you should rethink ending the contract with ShotSpotter, even as he tried to end it last year and then extended it at a premium through the DNC at least. And by the way, given the autonomous zones on college campuses around the country right now and the sort of violence that is being advocated and sometimes being exhibited, I can only imagine how it will play out in just a couple of months in Chicago at the DNC when all of these ignorant, maladjusted young jihadists financed by professional jihadists descend on Chicago. It should be very interesting. Speaking of, but on the point of ShotSpotter,
yes,
Brandon Johnson, our police department has the tools that it needs to help us build a stronger, safer Chicago. As I've said repeatedly, it can't be done with policing alone. That is a failed strategy. It's a failed strategy. Some older humans disagree with him, but that's what he's saying. And then he said about Huesca's murder, we're going to release the full force of government to bring these people to justice.
He went on to say yesterday that, he spent time with Huesca's mom and uncle, and it was the hardest thing he ever had to do. And he's a mayor of the people, and he's here for the people, and we're going to stop this kind of crimes. Yeah, by doing what? And ShotSpotter, all the aldermen want is to have their discretion in their own ward. Like I know Alderman Lopez, he wants ShotSpotter in his ward. He said, and this was a great example of how the ShotSpotter alerted authorities to this 5 whole minutes before 911 was called.
So what? No. Alderman Lopez is wrong. No. If you think that just continuing the feudal system that under which Chicago operates is acceptable, that's not acceptable. I just want it in my ward. No.
Well,
it's either for the city or it's not for the city. It either makes sense everywhere or it doesn't. This is not federalism. I mean, it's feudalism. That's what it is. That's how Chicago actually operates. And I'm done indulging that. Either you're going to put together a fight on this one little thing, is sort of like the sugar tax. This one little thing on public safety, just like the sugar tax was this one little thing about usurious taxation in Chicago. And you're going to draw a line and you're going to fight and you're going to challenge your defund, decarcerate colleagues, put pressure on them to relent and say, yeah, ShotSpotter everywhere because it's a benefit to policing everywhere. And so every resident of Chicago deserves that benefit, should have that benefit. Not I pick it and you don't. No. That's the way to play it. What we were talking about yesterday, this has to stop. This is going to stop. We heard that after the Danny Golden shooting. We heard that after Ella French. We heard that after Ariana Preston. And we're hearing the same thing now after Luis Huesca. So what is it you're willing to do in furtherance of stopping this or curbing it? Nobody can make it stop completely, but curbing it. Doing something to change how things operate in reality, on the ground, with police, with residents, in the city of Chicago, under the rule of law. What is it that you're willing to do or willing to advocate be done? Not just for me, my word. No.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
When is it time to go big in Chicago? Please, sir. A cup of tea. When is it time to go big?
Go heavy or go home? I don't know. Now? It's only going to get worse. August is right, you guys. August is right around the corner, and the presidential election is less than 6 months away.
When is it time to say, let's reestablish what the baseline is here? This is going to be a city that serves the law-abiding, instead of a city that literally we've moved beyond condoning, that serves the criminal at the expense of the law-abiding. Criminals, foreign and domestic, at the expense of the law-abiding. Is that a baseline where we can get some general agreement that that is not the way to operate a city? Because everything flows from the first principles you set forth. And that's why you're saying, I can't understand why BLM Brandon is promoting this, and I can't understand that. Scratching your head all the time. Or, you know, people that don't pay attention like our listeners do. Well, explain it to me. I don't get it. What is he doing? Do you listen? Direct people to listen to what they say, to understand the baseline they're starting from. Because if you understand the premise, then you can predict where they're going to go in conclusion. And the premise is this is a city for people who do not play by the rules. Because they have, and of course there's a rationale, because they are oppressed. And so we're rewriting the rules to serve the oppressed, and the privileged will finance this and otherwise endure it. And the oppressed are people who are in prisons, and people who commit crimes, and people who come into this country illegally, and people who demand that you pay their student loan debt and you pay for other decisions they make, good, bad, or otherwise. If you start from that premise, it all comes into focus, doesn't it? What's happening? Did you see this story in the NPR Times? CTA touts his second chance program for ex-offenders, but few end up with permanent jobs. This is like an expose on the CTA second chance programs because, of course, it's hailed by these race hustlers, these identitarians, these new Marxists. This is the way we're going to provide opportunities to the ex-offender community, reintegrate them to society, and so on and so forth. And I'm all for programs like that are actually successful and whose first principles are identifiable, and it makes sense that they're going to get people somewhere. Like we always use John Ponder's Hope for Prisoners program in Clark County, Nevada, because it's one of the best in the country. If you want to really get into reducing recidivism and turning people who have done bad things into people who are doing good things now and being people who play by the rules with their second chance, that's one thing. But that's not what's happening here, because these programs aren't set up to do that. These programs are set up to check a box, to have a bullet point on a campaign flyer, to blare from the fifth floor, ex-offenders getting second chances and CTA and this and that. We've got an apprentice program. 14% of those in the apprentice program found permanent full-time employment with the CTA a year after. I mean, not to mention the CTA has never been solvent. It's not solvent now. Its ridership is down. I don't know where the expectation is that you're going to just manufacture jobs out of thin air to do anything other than clean up the pools of blood on the CTA and the CTA platforms.
It's bad.
And the story is just replete with people complaining about what the CTA didn't give them. Well, you know, when you've got a felony conviction on your record, you're going to have to work extra hard to reintegrate into civilized society. You lost the benefit of the doubt. I hate to break it to people. But instead, we have an entitlement mentality created by politicians who say that, no, you have this, you were incarcerated, you have this felony conviction because of white supremacy, because you're oppressed, because you're marginalized, and so we're going to reorder society for your benefit. It's happening everywhere. Listen to this report out of CBS, and right, nationally, I mean.
Right.
Listen to this report out of Pittsburgh, a CBS affiliate reporting this. Sheetz, the convenience store chain.
Oh, that's where Biden went in and nobody cared. And people actually wouldn't even go up to him and take pictures. He was trying to pull a Trump and just, spontaneously go into a fast food convenience store place. And
yeah, well, the EEOC cares about it. They're watching.
Sheetz is being sued over its hiring practices. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission filed the suit this morning. It claims that the way Sheetz bases employment on criminal records disproportionately screens out Black, Native American, and other multiracial applicants, and that this violates federal law. The suit does not accuse Sheetz of being motivated by race when making hiring decisions. We have reached out to Sheetz for comment, but so far we have not heard back.
Was that political payback because Sheetz didn't fill the restaurant up with Biden supporters?
No, this happened well before that. And obviously there was an investigation ongoing, the phony investigation, so that you could come up with this phony case. So understand. So this convenience store operation out east is being sued by the EEOC, so essentially the Department of Justice,
right,
for civil rights violation, under anti-discrimination law, because they're refusing to hire ex-cons at rates that would provide the requisite diversity of their workplace, or the desired diversity. So they're saying we're not hiring ex-cons, and because a disproportionate share of ex-cons are minorities, that is de facto discrimination, racial. Sheetz didn't set up the justice system, and Sheetz isn't responsible for any of the crimes and any of the people who apply for jobs they're committed, but they're the discriminators being sued by the federal government. So that's how the left wants to wire the entire country, and that's what you're seeing in Chicago as well. So you want to have the conversation at the root cause, at the root level. Well, there it is. There it is. And so everything that Brandon Johnson and Tony Preckwinkle and most of the city council does, Jelly Belly too, although he's a little bit less ideological about it. But it comes from, are we on the path? Are we on that path from whence we started, traveling down the road we want to take the city, the county, the state, the country? It's not about ShotSpotter. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
All right. This season, don't get tripped up by uneven concrete around your home, whether it's a sunken or cracked sidewalk, porch stoop, driveway, or patio. Those problems will only get worse, but there is an easy solution. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-SEAL, and ask for a free inspection. Their poly-level service can raise and level sunken concrete quickly and effectively, putting an end to eyesores and dangerous trip hazards. Poly-level is the quickest, least expensive, and most durable system to repair your sunken concrete problems. Don't live with a potentially dangerous situation. Call Permaseal today for a free inspection. They have financing programs that allow you to have the work done now and pay for it in 18 months without interest. Permaseal has been a trusted name for over 40 years and has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
Baseball and softball season will be starting soon at fields everywhere. I'm not talking about those overpriced professional palaces with the prima donnas. I'm talking about the neighborhood where the kids, Little League fields, their family, their fathers, their coaches will all be out in the sun. There's a company in Bridgeview, PYT Sports, that's working with volunteer coaches, Little League managers, and dads. Good, hardworking guys that want to help their kids and friends have a good time this summer instead of getting into trouble on the streets. PYT Sports has all the stuff you'll need to furnish dugouts and more. 2-tiered benches, helmet racks, bat racks, and individual player storage. Plus, windscreens and wall pads. Even field tarps to protect from rain so you're ready for game time. Check out the popular Field General, Commander, and Trooper helmet and bat combos to make your dugout look like the pros. Go to pytsports.net. That's pytsports.net. And get ready for a great baseball season. Play ball!
Can peace of mind fit into just 3 fruits and 3 veggie supplements? Yes. We start by sourcing the best fruit and vegetable ingredients. We ensure that all our produce meets our rigorous standards in order to give you the highest quality product possible. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes the water using pressure. We then take great care in grinding them into a fine powder. These powdered ingredients are then mixed and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped right to your door so you can experience your own personal Balance of Nature success story.
I've looked at other supplements out there and they don't have what Balance of Nature has.
Balance of Nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-349-8877. That's 800-349-8877. 800-349-8877.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know, I mentioned the one group of people that could actually generate sympathy for Alec Baldwin. These young jihadist protesters, these pit protesters, pro-Islamist terrorism. Alec Baldwin was confronted by one at a local coffee shop. You know, he's out. He's on pretrial release pending his involuntary manslaughter trial in Santa Fe, right?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the armorist is in, she got 18 months in prison, so we'll see what happens to him.
Yeah, she's going to roll, I bet. So he confronted one of these pit protesters, these young jihadists. He was confronted by one, I should say.
Alec, can you please say Free Palestine one time? Why did you kill that lady? You killed that lady and got no jail time? No jail time, Alec? No jail time, Alec. You're putting innocent people in jail, Alec Baldwin. I'm so sorry. Free Palestine, Alec, just one time, and I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you alone, I swear. Just say Free Palestine one time. One time.
That's Jewish.
One time.
Call the police.
One time, Alec. You know he's a criminal. You know he's a f***ing criminal. Come on, Alec, just say Free Palestine one time. One time, just one time, please, and I'll leave you alone. Free Palestine. Israel, Zionism. Please say it. One time.
Security.
Could you do me one quick favor?
Did he grab the mic?
He tried to show her the door. He opened the door for her to leave. He asked the clerk to call police. Yeah. And then at the end, he grabbed or slapped the phone out of her hand. Because he can only take so much.
I know. He's a ticking time bomb. I mean, every time somebody confronts him, I'm like, all right, how soon till the man explodes?
I've got an idea for a film.
What?
There's a little bit of a wrinkle here because Baldwin's being tried in New Mexico and Trump's being tried in New York. But a remake of Shawshank Redemption with Trump as Andy Dufresne and Baldwin as Red. Trump breaks out. Baldwin Red gets paroled after his involuntary manslaughter conviction. Only guilty man in Shawshank, and then they live happily ever after in Zihuatanejo together. Yeah. But they're going to be in separate state prisons, so we need to figure out how to get them into the same.
Oh, we live in a crazy world. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We mentioned one riff from Tucker Carlson during his wide-ranging discussion with Joe Rogan on Rogan's podcast. That was interesting and productive. I think there were some less productive riffs from Tucker during that interview. A lot of conspiracy theories. I think they need to be addressed, so I think we're going to do that at 6:36.
And later, the craziness continues. We are not cannibals. Papua New Guinea fights back, and John Wayne Bobbitt loses another body part. We'll explain, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:33, 56 degrees this morning. French authorities say 5 migrants, including a child, died trying to cross the English Channel, just hours after the British government approved a migrant bill to deport some of those who entered the country illegally back to Rwanda. The Senate returning to Washington. They'll vote on a $95 billion war aid measure to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Judge in Donald Trump's case will decide today if the former president has violated his gag order. Fox's Eric Shawn.
Former President Trump could find out whether he has to pay up if Judge Juan Merchan decides and rules that he did violate the gag order here. Before we hear testimony resuming in the trial today, there will be that hearing held on the 10 violations that District Attorney Ivan Bragg's office says Trump violated by attacking witnesses at court staff. The former president could be fined $1,000 for each one, and the penalty could be up to 1 month in jail, though no one seriously thinks the judge will lock him up.
Prosecutors want him fined at least $3,000. The Supreme Court set to hear oral arguments in a case filed by Starbucks against the National Labor Relations Board. Case stems from Starbucks firing 7 workers who were trying to unionize their store in Memphis, Tennessee. The Labor Board asked the court to intervene. Then a federal judge ordered Starbucks to rehire those workers. A man found guilty of fatally shooting Chicago police officer Ella French in 2021 is requesting a new trial. Yamonte Morgan was found guilty in the death of Officer French. He was also found guilty of attempted first-degree murder connected to French's partner, Carlos Yanez, who was seriously wounded in that attack. Chicago police are warning the public about a string of arson fires in the Greater Grand Crossing neighborhood. The latest started Sunday night in the 300 block of East 70th. Some of those fires have spread to nearby homes. A measure advancing in Illinois seeks to ban corporal punishment in all schools, including private schools. Opponents are concerned the measure could be misinterpreted, and school coaches could be looking for more push-ups and chin-ups and could be in violation of the proposed law. Now, corporal punishment is legal in all private schools in the nation except New Jersey, Iowa, New York, and Maryland. Corporal punishment is legal in public schools in 17 states. In Illinois, current law says school boards are not allowed to include corporal punishment within their board policies. Chicago sports. White Sox lost to the Twins 7-0. Cubs will try to get back in the win column when they host Houston tonight. The news is a service of McGrath Lexus in Westmont and Chicago. Experience the next level of excellence at McGrath Lexus in nearby Westmont and downtown Chicago. When you do the math, you choose McGrath. View new and pre-owned inventory online at McGrathLexus.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants more people to step up.
I just really wish more people like me would speak out more and be more confident about it. I know a lot of black people that think just like me, but man, they just won't say. They will never tell anybody. It's not conducive for them. But if only more black men knew that other black men agree with them and that they're not isolated and they're alone in their thoughts of saying, something ain't right here.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Can peace of mind fit into just 3 fruits and 3 veggie supplements? Yes. We start by sourcing the best fruit and vegetable ingredients. We ensure that all our produce meets our rigorous standards in order to give you the highest quality product possible. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes the water using pressure. We then take great care in grinding them into a fine powder. These powdered ingredients are then mixed and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped right to your door so you can experience your own personal Balance of Nature success story.
I've looked at other supplements out there, and they don't have what Balance of Nature has.
Balance of Nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Did the Protestant Reformation suffer a premature death? Absolutely, argues the riveting book, Reviving the Reformation by Dr. Daniel Lang. The book of Acts chapter 21 verse 20 reports that myriads or tens of thousands of Jewish believers dwelled in Jerusalem, and they were all zealous for the Torah. Their leaders were guiding the early Messianic faith. 40 years after the death of Jesus, however, the Jews revolted against Rome. This rebellion caused a Roman hammer to crush Israel, destroying the temple and Jerusalem. Following this devastation, the leadership of the Jerusalem church fell into other hands. Reviving the Reformation recovers the lost first-century Messianic faith. It answers the most difficult questions that some dare not ask about traditional Christianity. Buy Reviving the Reformation on Amazon. For a deep discount, purchase the book securely from the author at revivingthereformation.com. That's revivingthereformation.com. And like Reviving the Reformation on Facebook. With biblical faith fading fast in Western culture, now is the time to restore the truth by reviving the Reformation.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com.
6:39, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this update is a service of Macy's Backstage. Mother's Day is coming up, and Macy's Backstage has amazing deals on great gifts for that mom Boy, she's going to love it. All for $15 and under. Get low prices every day at Macy's Backstage. Find a store near you today at macysbackstage.com. Off price on trend, arriving daily. Inbound Kennedy, 1 hour O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike-In, 53-390 to the old post office. Watch out for ongoing road work on the shoulder inbound between Wolf and Harlem Avenue. Dan Ryan coming in, not too bad, 18, 95th into the Burn Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our Revive Your Lawn Weather Center, breezy this morning. Thunderstorm could crop up late in the day. A high of 63. Partly cloudy and turning much colder overnight. A low of 39. 56 and mostly cloudy right now. Your next news update at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Tucker Carlson's sit down with Joe Rogan for Rogan's podcast is getting a lot of attention. And, you know, generally I like Tucker, though I disagree with him on some things. He was nice enough to have me on his show on Fox a couple of times when
Look at you.
When he was there. And
La-di-da-di-da.
so I just used that as some backstory. But some of the things that he's, I would say, given into, he would probably say rethought. A little troubling. You know, I understand from whence some of it comes, and he explained it, actually. What we have learned over the last 7 or 8 years since Trump's arrival on the scene, what we have seen from our government is disturbing. And, you know, as the sort of saying goes these days, you know, conspiracy theories are just foreshadowing. Yeah, right. A lot of things you didn't think were possible that people suggested were afoot or could be afoot or were coming have indeed come to pass. But that is not cover to sort of have a knee-jerk response to say anything that you see or hear is to be immediately disregarded. You're to take the 180-degree position away from the official story automatically, without consideration, thought, evidence. Whatever they say, I believe the opposite. Well, that's not very intellectually robust, is it? You'll see where I'm going in a second. First, Tucker Carlson on his essentially watershed moment in 2017.
Probably unlike you, I didn't have any opinions like that. I was like, fluoride, come on. You know, 9/11, shut up. Yeah. UFOs, you're f***ing crazy. You know what I mean? I just, like, I had this reflexive, I'm ashamed of it. I'm not bragging about it. But it was 2017, and really it was the Trump campaign. It wasn't that I was, like, so in love with Trump, though I've always liked Trump because, you know, he's, like, hilarious and charming and all that. But I wasn't, like, a Trumper or anything. But it was watching that campaign, and particularly his claim that they were spying on him. And I was like, really? You're not, the intel services and federal law enforcement, FBI, do not spy on presidential campaigns. Like, that's so out of the realm. That's so crazy. Like, that could never happen because, of course, there's no democracy in a system like that. And fundamentally, we're a democracy, an imperfect one. It kind of lumbers along, you know, but, like, it's not fake. And then that turned out to be true, and I knew it was true, and that just blew my mind. So I began a process still ongoing of reassessing a lot of other things. Like, okay, well, if that was not true, what else is not true, and what else that they told me was a conspiracy theory might actually have some basis in fact. And
And so that led to discussions like Building 7 was a controlled demolition and the possibility 9/11 was an inside job. You know, Charlie Sheen world, as it were. Yeah. It also led to a characterization of the deep state taking down Nixon. You know, going back more than 5 decades now to Watergate, which, you know, speaking of spying on presidential campaigns, the committee to elect the president was intending to do that on the McGovern operation, right? So, I mean, there's been these abuses of power that predate the modern era or current times, not to the extent of the weaponization. I think the Obama years were a watershed moment in the weaponization of intelligence agencies. What Holder and Brennan and Hayden and Clapper and Obama did, that's a watershed moment. We can get into that. But going back, so, you know, so insinuating the possibility of 9/11 being an inside job, which is what he did on that Rogan podcast. Saying this about the plumbers and Watergate.
I mean, if you look at what happened to Richard Nixon, which I, of course, did not understand at all, Richard Nixon was taken out by the FBI and CIA, and with the help of Bob Woodward, who was a Washington Post reporter who had been a naval intelligence officer working in the White House, working in the Nixon White House. And then he shows up like a year later, and he's this brand new reporter. He'd never been a journalist at all. He's a naval intel officer. The famous Bob Woodward we all revere. And he's at the Washington Post, and somehow he gets the biggest story in the history of the Washington Post. He's the lead guy in that story. Well, I worked at a newspaper. I've been in the news business my whole life. That is not how it works. You don't take a kid like his first day from a totally unrelated business and put him on the biggest story. But he was. He was that guy. And who is his main source for Watergate? Oh, the number 2 guy at the FBI. Oh, so you have the naval intelligence officer working with the FBI official to destroy the president. Okay, so that's a deep state coup. What else? How would you describe that? If that happened in Guatemala, what would you say? And yet the way it was framed and the way that I accepted for decades was, oh, this intrepid reporter fought power. No. This intrepid reporter, Bob Woodward, was a tool of power, secret power, which is the most threatening kind, to bounce the single most popular president in American history, Richard Nixon, from office before the end of his term and replace him with who? Oh, Gerald Ford, who sat on the Warren Commission. Now, how did Gerald Ford get to be Richard Nixon's vice president? Well, because Carl Albert, the Democrat Speaker of the House, told him, you must choose him. We will only confirm him when they sent the actual elected vice president away for tax evasion, Spiro Agnew of Maryland. So you have a complete setup, like an absolute. Gerald Ford, the only unelected president in American history, actually sat on the Warren Commission. Something else that I accepted at face value until I looked at it, and I was like, that's completely insane. You didn't want to interview Jack Ruby in your investigation of the assassination? Okay, you're fake. Yeah, he was on the Warren Commission. And so, sorry for the long story, but the point is, like that happened in front of all of us, but the way it was framed cloaked the obvious reality of it. The people who broke into the Watergate office building, from which the name is taken, Watergate, I think it was 6 of them or 7 of them, all but one was a CIA employee. That's real. It's like, look it up on Google. So the whole thing, Richard Nixon was elected by more votes than any president in American history in the 1972 election. He was the most popular by votes, which is the only way we can really measure popularity, the most popular president in his reelection campaign. And 2 years later, he's gone. Undone by a naval intel officer, the number 2 guy at the FBI, and a bunch of CIA employees. You tell me what that is. Those are the facts. Those are not disputed facts. That's not crackpot.
They're not all the facts. I mean, G. Gordon Liddy was a FBI agent, former supervisor of the FBI's D.C. office. I think the youngest one at like 30. The other fact is that Richard Nixon set up the Special Investigations Unit that ultimately, green-lighted the plumbers operation and the break-in at Watergate. So Richard Nixon was involved in a conspiracy to depose Richard Nixon?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
And Ben Shapiro talked about this too. I don't often invoke Ben Shapiro. I know a lot of people like him, but I generally find most of his stuff rather pedestrian.
The kids love him still. I don't get it.
High
schoolers love Ben Shapiro.
Well, whatever. He's a smart guy and all that. I don't invoke him much because I don't think there's anything particularly interesting there. It's just very, I don't know, sort of straightforward conservative boilerplate. But he responded to some of what Tucker said in this interview with Rogan, and I thought his response was on point because it didn't stop there. I mean, just in those instances, you have, I mentioned, you didn't hear it, but it's there, 9/11, now Watergate, and by implication, his riff on Gerald Ford there, somebody other than Lee Harvey Oswald responsible for the JFK assassination. Not exactly a novel belief, I understand, but I'm putting this in context here because it's not a one-off. Like, I've really looked at this and I specifically think this, and I think here's what was left out, and I think the manifest weight of the evidence tends to push us in this direction and this specific matter. No, it's everything. It's JFK, it's Watergate, it's 9/11, it's World War II. And a really interesting take on the A-bomb and Truman's decision to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This is not, what you're about to hear is not the America firstism of the isolationists of the late 30s and early 40s.
The wildest thing about Tower 7 is that if you just say it looks like a controlled demolition, people get mad at you.
Why?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
because
I did.
I'm not saying that it is a controlled demolition, but I'm saying if you watch it, it looks like a controlled demolition.
But that happens all the time. Buildings catch fire and they just implode in on themselves. I think it happens every week, right? All these poultry plants and manufacturing plants that keep getting burned through fire, they all
It's the way it went down.
Yeah. So I say, why do they respond that way? And of course, I responded that way. And I think looking back, the reason that I did was because if you call that into question, you had to ask a lot of other really obvious questions you didn't want to deal with, and you might arrive at the conclusion that a lot of your most basic assumptions are false and that you've been had, and it's just too destabilizing maybe.
Right.
Well, he goes on, it wasn't there, but he goes on to talk about America's war crimes, and he includes the firebombings, Dresden, and obviously the A-bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki as examples of that. He said the same thing or something very similar when he appeared on Russell Brand's podcast.
And I do think there are war crimes that the United States committed during the Second World War, the firebombing of Tokyo, famously Dresden, that were collective punishment. And I would also say, by the way, the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's collective punishment.
Yes.
Okay? And I think that rotted the soul of the West. I do.
Yes.
I think that's so immoral that it did two things. One, you carry the burden of sin at scale like that. You just do. You can't help it. And two, that level of power in the hands of human beings convinced them that they were gods.
Steve, Northwest Indiana.
Yeah, as an aside, Bomber Harris was behind that
Dresden bombing, you can't say that was an American deal. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
It gets
he's
even
talking
deeper.
about he's talking about the West and his examples, and then he moves over to Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, okay. Well, with all the people we would have lost if we'd invaded Japan, what difference does it make whether you kill somebody with an atomic bomb or you just kill them by shooting them? They're still dead. Anyways, it gets even deeper. All right. Gordon Liddy was a field agent in Gary, Indiana, back in the 50s, and he lived in the same house in Lake Station, Indiana, that a foreman that I used to work with at U.S. Steel lived in. Now, that's pretty scary.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, Steve. I was on G. Gordon Liddy's show several times when he had a radio show.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun.
Was
He's wild.
How long ago was that?
Oh, I don't know,
Decades ago? Okay.
I mean, there's more to this, and I particularly want to get to the World War II thing, but we're out of time on this because and Steve from Northwest Indiana was starting to go there. It's just, I get it. Somebody texted that. Where's that text? Somebody texted, when everything is a lie and the government promotes the lies, people turn to conspiracy theories to try to make sense of the lies. Yeah, I understand that, but that's not a defense. I mean, again, is that intellectually robust just to have that knee-jerk reaction? And when there are, other explanations or other questions that should be asked and answers should be contemplated. I mean, he's just far afield for me, particularly on what he said about World War II, but even on some of the other stuff where there are real gaps in the threads that he is attempting to weave together into a tapestry of some sort. Well, into a tapestry of this conspiracy and that conspiracy and everywhere a conspiracy. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatment that delivers lasting results. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Michael Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
AM 560. The Answer.
It's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world. It's just the history we don't know. Take it away, Frank.
Good morning. In 1940, the Democrats are facing a serious challenge to their 10-year run controlling Congress. The Depression was still on and war was raging in Europe. Time for a change. But it was young Representative Lyndon Johnson who was put in charge of the DCCC, and his incredible energy and connections to the deep pockets of the Texas oil industry led to a monumental comeback, with the party actually gaining 12 seats in the House. This 77th Congress was the one to declare war on the Axis powers in 1941. There were a few months of bipartisan cooperation after Pearl Harbor, but by the summer of 1942, the Congress was deeply unpopular. The rationing, travel restrictions, draft exemptions, and higher taxes all took their toll. People really got upset, though, when this Congress voted itself a generous pension for the first time. In response, a food and clothing drive called Bundles to Congress was organized to help those poor, needy legislators. So in November 1942, a peeved electorate returned an extremely divided Congress, with the Dems holding a mere 5-seat majority, which over time dwindled to 2. Leading this rickety ramshackle was Speaker Sam Rayburn of Bonham, Texas. And Mr. Sam's skills got sharpened as he was able to lead the Congress to pass and keep mum about a $1.6 billion unnamed add-on to military spending. I'm talking about the Manhattan Project, which permanently changed the world, for better or worse. The cost rose to $2 billion over time, and as such, there were quiet but persistent demands to produce, with some historians asserting that this pressure partly influenced Truman's actual usage of Little Boy and Fat Man. Now, our current Speaker, Mike Johnson, also has a very slim congressional majority and faces major problems. He should look to Sam Rayburn for guidance.
Very good, Frank, and right in keeping with the discussion we were just having, I wish we had time for more on the topic, but coming up at 7:07, we've got Wesley Smith on assisted suicide, something that's been proposed for Illinois, 7:07.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
The search continues for a suspect in the killing of an off-duty Chicago police officer, and Tony Preckwinkle wins another term. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
A second day of testimony at the first Trump trial. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but his lawyer, Will Scharf, insists to Fox.
This is a show trial. President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong, and we firmly believe that the evidence is going to bear that out in court in the coming weeks.
The former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker will take the witness stand again, testifying about paying for and killing negative Trump stories before the 2016 election. The former president is charged with falsifying records and payments to keep one alleged affair quiet, but Fox's Eric Shawn reports from outside the New York court.
Before we hear testimony resuming in the trial today, there will be that hearing held on the 10 violations that District Attorney Ivan Bragg's office says Trump violated by attacking witnesses and court staff. The former president could be fined $1,000 for each one, and the penalty could be up to 1 month in jail, though no one seriously thinks the judge will lock him up.
As anti-Israel protests continue at college campuses from California to Michigan to New York, President Biden says,
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
At NYU, demonstrators chanted shame as police arrested dozens in New York City. Fox's Alexis McAdams is at Columbia, where students fearing for their safety are being allowed to take classes remotely.
As those protests continue and there's more tents set up here right behind me on this campus, there are very powerful alumni like the owner of the New England Patriots, Bob Kraft, who say they're going to pull their money out of this university.
We can't have this intimidation that's filtering through all these colleges and the hate.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help finding whoever shot and wounded a deputy who was sitting on a motorcycle yesterday afternoon. He is stable now. Police in Chicago are looking for a cop killer, releasing surveillance video of a person of interest in Sunday's shooting that left a police officer dead. America's listening to Fox News.
7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police are still searching for the person responsible for the shooting death of an off-duty police officer over the weekend. Luis Huesca was shot and killed early Sunday. CPD releasing surveillance videos of the person wanted in connection to the shooting. Alderman Matt O'Shea yesterday saying Huesca was exactly who you wanted on the Chicago police force.
This young man is exactly who we want on the Chicago Police Department. Well respected by his peers, was working in a specialized unit.
Meantime, nearly all of the aldermen in high violence wards want to keep shot spotter technology in their neighborhoods. A highly successful warning system was used by CPD to rush squad cars to the site of the shooting death of Officer Huesca. Aldermen and women will get the chance this week to move an ordinance that puts the gunfire detection technology back into the hands of individual city council members like Alderwoman Nicole Lee.
As I talk to police officers or commanders, I believe that ShotSpotter helps keep people safe.
A vote on the issue could come as soon as this week. A jury convicts a woman charged in the gruesome death of her landlord on Chicago's North Side in 2022. Sandra Kalalu was found guilty yesterday of first-degree murder. Family member Maggie Walker reacted to the verdict.
The Walker family finally is going to heal starting today, and we're so happy of the verdict. We know that we got the right person and that she could no longer victimize, hurt anybody else.
Kalalu was arrested in October of 2022 after the dismembered body of Francis Walker was found in the freezer of a home. Chicago sports. White Sox lost to the Twins 7-0. Cubs and Astros at Wrigley Field tonight. NBA playoffs, Cavaliers, Knicks, and Denver with wins. On the ice in the NHL, playoff wins for Carolina, Toronto, and Edmonton. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey's real-time threat hunting defends you, your employees, and your customers from vulnerable cyber attacks. Shield your complete infrastructure from malware and other threats. Visit turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains yet another line of flawed logic.
The latest is about the American Medical Association declaring that medicine is imbued with white supremacy. I didn't know that. American Medical Association, like the entire medical establishment, has been taken over by the anti-American, anti-truth, anti-goodness left. And this is what happens.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, who's there for heroes or their families left behind when a service member or a first responder dies or is catastrophically injured in the line of duty? Who helps our country's homeless vets? I'll tell you who. It's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Never forget the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org, the letter T, number 2, letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people, and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pitchers you know? As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die, you know?
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It has been confirmed. Those brave Americans who are trying to preserve free speech continue to be censored, shadow banned, or silenced. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to share the liberating ideas of some of America's brightest and most free thinkers, people like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry, whose ideas are putting financial control back in the hands of everyday people, helping them protect their money against a government that seems intent on destroying it. Text TRUTH to 76626 to find out more. As this election moves forward, we just released a report that reveals our 3 favorite ideas for protecting and growing your wealth during the 2024 election. These ideas are especially critical if you have an IRA or 401k. Text TRUTH to 76626. Discover ideas that are so simple and actionable they might save your retirement. Text TRUTH to 76626 now for your free report. That's TRUTH to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply.
7:08, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. I-80 stop and go eastbound near Hobart. The Reagan slows up eastbound between 22nd and the Tri-State. Tri-State Tollway jams up northbound between North Avenue and the Bensonville Bridge. I-57 stop and go due to an accident inbound between 123rd and 111th. Inbound Dan Ryan, now 40 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our Revive Your Lawn Weather Center, here's Steve Williams.
Clouds and breezy rain this morning. A thunderstorm later on this afternoon. High 63. Thunderstorm early this evening. Partly cloudy, cold tonight. Low 39. Partly sunny, breezy tomorrow. The high 50. Sunny to partly cloudy on Thursday with a high 60. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
56 at O'Hare, 57 Lakefront. Your next news update 7:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. State Senator Linda Holmes out of Will County. Thank you, Will County. She has proposed making Illinois, I think it would be the 11th state to legalize assisted suicide, getting the medical profession in the business of killing people on purpose.
Yeah, just if they don't feel good, if they're depressed. Oh, I want to die. Okay, sure. Just
Well,
tell us the
that's-
date and time.
Well, that's what's happening in some other countries. That's not, of course, what's contained in the legislation in Illinois, because you don't start at the bottom of the slippery slope. You start at the top. You make it as sanitized as possible and hope people don't ask the questions about, could this set precedents? Does this leave open doors where we could slide down into a place where we are indulging people's mental afflictions and ending their lives under that guise or on that basis? Well, Linda Holmes, the state senator, said she decided to sponsor this legislation because of the suffering her parents went through as they battled cancer. And I understand that. It's terrible. Nobody wants to see their parents suffer. Nobody wants to see themselves suffer in particular. And there clearly people are thinking when they see somebody in a terribly difficult state, gosh, I hope that never happens to me. If that happens to me, I would want it ended. I want somebody to pull the plug. All the conversations that people have had. But is that fear a good basis to make wide-sweeping public policy? I mean, we're seeing it right now in Chicago over the last year with Steve McMichael's battle, with ALS. Right. Of course, it's terrible. You don't wish that on anybody. And people, nobody would want that to happen to them or loved or really anybody else. And so you see that kind of suffering, the atrophying of the body, and the mind is still there. For example, you say, gosh, I would never want to be in that state. I'd want somebody to end it, or I'd want to be able to end it, or I'd want to be able to end it on behalf of a loved one in that case. And so it's a difficult decision to wrestle with and a difficult debate to have, because it sounds compassionate. To have that reaction.
You should put it in your will, what you want to have happen.
Fair enough. But in terms of the larger policy debate, it sounds compassionate. But is it really? Is that the compassionate way to contemplate the matter? For more on the answer to that question, please be joined by Wesley Smith, Senior Fellow at the Discovery Institute Center on Human Exceptionalism. Wesley, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, good morning, Chicago.
So what do you say to Senator Holmes, the sponsor of the assisted suicide legislation here, Death with Dignity, of course, that, it's the terrible suffering my parents went through as they battled cancer to the end, and that's what inspired me to sponsor this legislation, and looking at the experience of other states, particularly on the West Coast, the time has come.
Well, you always hear this kind of story when they want to push it, and they push it through fear-mongering. But if you take a look at the statistics of people who commit assisted suicide or who are euthanized, and this is pretty clear across the countries, it's not about pain and suffering. It's about fear, existential fear of losing dignity, fear of being a burden. That's a really big thing. And so you find that also that, the promise is always, well, we'll have strict guidelines to protect against abuse. Then as soon as the law becomes enacted, the supposed guidelines are redefined as obstacles, and you begin to see that kind of liberalizing expansion of the law. Assisted suicide is not about terminal illness. It's about killing as an answer to suffering. And once you decide that killing is an answer to suffering, the types of suffering that can eventually qualify for killing are almost endless. And that's why you see in places very close to Chicago, like in Canada, where you have people with disabilities being euthanized. You have people who can't get good access to medical care being euthanized. In fact, that's a big issue here. We're told that the very doctors who are unable to properly care for people because of resource issues or access issues should also be trusted to help kill people. It makes no sense.
Well, it just seems so barbaric. And all of this started in Europe. They've been doing this for a long time.
Well, the Netherlands has been doing it for many years, for decades, literally. They formally legalized it in 2003. And in the Netherlands, you've seen the trajectory. They've gone from killing the terminally ill to the chronically ill to the elderly who are, quote, tired of life, to people with disabilities, to the mentally ill. People become, once you legalize assisted suicide, once you're a killable caste, C-A-S-T-E, people become objectified. So you see organ harvesting conjoined with euthanasia in places like Netherlands, Belgium, and in Canada. In Canada, in fact, it's so bad that in Ontario, if you qualify for euthanasia, the doctor calls the Organ Donation Society, and then they call you and say, can we have your liver? I mean, that's how bad it's become. And so once you open this door, it expands continually. Almost every state in this country, which is much more constrained than, say, Canada, because the people have not adapted it or adopted it widely like they have in Canada. But California has expanded the law. Oregon has expanded the law. Oregon allows non-residents, and so does Vermont, to have assisted suicide. What is the Oregon state interest in allowing somebody from Utah to come and have assisted suicide? There isn't any, because it's an ideological agenda. And eventually it becomes about money in the healthcare system.
Well, I mean, one way to deal with that organ harvesting situation is to do what I do, which is to live a life such that all your organs are unusable by anyone else.
Nobody wants your liver.
So, yeah.
But that would open you to medical experimentation. We got to figure all this out.
We can clean
for
that
sure.
up.
For sure. No, I'm sort of tired of life too, but I'm going to marshal on. I feel like I'm charged to. So in Canada, you said this eventually goes to money too. I get that, and older people, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to lose my dignity. Before we get to the money thing, well, what about that? If somebody who's whatever, in their 90s and we're running out of money, I don't want to rely on the kids and grandkids. I don't want to be a burden on the kids and grandkids. I'm done with life. I don't want to live anymore. I can't really get around it. All of the things that you hear and say, okay, I'm ready. So, and you say what to the person in that situation or to the family of the person in that situation?
Well, in that situation, as we would with anybody who's suicidal, the answer is suicide prevention. I mean, we used to understand that when, and elderly people do get depressed, there are actually specialists who can help with that, who can help elderly people overcome that depression. Often it's because of loneliness and isolation. The answer to loneliness and isolation is to help people not be lonely and isolated. It isn't to give them poison pills to kill themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty straightforward.
In fact, if I approached you for an assistant, if I said, look, Dan, I'm suicidal, you'd say, oh, come on, let's get the suicide prevention in. Let's make sure you don't jump off the bridge. And then I say, but I have cancer. And you say, oh, well, that's different. Here, let me hold your coat. I mean, it really is an isolating and abandoning ethic that says to some people, yes, your lives aren't worth living, but other people, well, we'll try to protect you from suicide.
So what do you say? Look, Wesley, at the end of the day, I hear what you're saying, and yes, I don't want people to kill themselves, but if they've made the decision, it's their body, their choice, it's their personal autonomy, I respect your decision, so on and so forth.
Well, this is, nobody's death is isolated. This affects how society views people. This affects how society views the importance of life. Suicide is people, all of us. I could be dead in 5 minutes if I wanted to be from here. But we're not talking about suicide. We're talking about a joint enterprise to make someone dead, assisted suicide, enabling doctors to help kill people. Well, why should doctors be able to help kill people? They're not. All they're doing is giving people an overdose of drugs. It really is an issue that people embrace because of stories like this legislator. But I have stories, too, that show how very awful this agenda is. So we have to not only run on emotion and on stories, but what will this cause, where will this lead, and what will happen? Again, in Canada, there have been at least 2 people that I'm aware of, and this was reported by the Canadian media, who didn't want euthanasia. They wanted treatment for their cancer, but it took 9 months to get to an oncologist. And so instead they chose to be euthanized. Mm-hmm. That is the kind of thing that will happen if we continue with this, because the inertia, if you will be towards getting sick and expensive and hard to care for people out of the way.
Well, yeah, particularly if the Western countries continue to get poorer by their own hands and their own profligate spending policies, then we got to cut somewhere. And, Medicare, particularly end-of-life care, is real expensive.
In fact, a Belgian health executive recently let it out of the bag, and he said, well, we really have to do this because these old people are a real drag on our society.
Well, during Obamacare, it wasn't that long ago, Zeke Emanuel famously said, I want to be gone after 75, and, you should 75. Follow me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about...
It really changes people's attitudes towards each other, and it's very poisonous in that regard.
Everybody looking at each other. Is it time to go yet, Granny? But what about teenagers and young adults who want to kill themselves? Because there's a young lady, she's 28 years old, scheduled to die in May. And she was talking about it on Facebook, and she seems very normal to me, but she said she's suffering from debilitating depression. Do you think that, the 10 states that have it here, that's going to be acceptable someday?
Someday, yeah, because the logic is inescapable. The issue is suffering. The issue isn't whether you're dying. And mental illness can cause far more suffering than cancer, and for a far longer period of time. So once we say suffering, killing is an answer to suffering, there's no way, there's no moral principle that would stop it at any particular point. In fact, in Germany now, the highest court in Germany has said there's a fundamental right to commit suicide. There's a fundamental, for any reason, not having to do with health, but just for whatever reason you want, and nobody can gainsay it. There's a fundamental right to be assisted in suicide, and there's a fundamental right to assist suicide. It's called death on demand, and that's the final destination of the euthanasia movement.
Just in terms of how slippery this slope is, tell us the story of the amputations in Quebec.
Well, this has to do with the transgender issue, and with an affliction called BIID, body identity integrity disorder. It's what comes after transgender. There's a cadre of patients who have a very anguishing condition where they believe, they obsess that, let's say, their left arm shouldn't be there. They identify as a quadriplegic. They identify as somebody who can't see. And this has been known for a period of time. Not a lot of people have it, but people do have it. Well, the answer is beginning to be said, as with the transgender social craze, that, instead of trying to help people keep their arms, let's cut them off for them. And in Quebec, there was this fellow with BIID, and he believed that 2 of his fingers did not belong on his hand. And the treatment, quote unquote, was to cut them off, cut off healthy fingers. There's been another case of a woman who obsessed on being blind, and her psychologist poured caustic substances in her eyes. So if everything is subjective, if everything becomes about feelings, and we have to accede to feelings even beyond what should be a professional duty to do no harm, then there's no moral principle that would stop it anywhere. And so it's very interesting that the people with this condition are beginning to call themselves transable. Get it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
right.
it's
Because
a-
I
it's a
think
real-
get
it's a
any
real
worse.
ne-
well,
it's
well,
a
because
deep
they'll be
nihilism.
celebrated.
Yeah.
Because they'll be celebrated. Oh, part of the trans
Well,
community. They'll be included.
Exactly, and this fellow who had his fingers cut off, the media did a big celebration of it because it's whatever people want. Well, sometimes what people want is very destructive to themselves and to the culture generally.
Yeah, and for those people listening, and you think that you've had all the conversations that we've talked about, and you've thought about these things. You say, well, it's a compassionate thing. Oh, the suffering is so bad, just in these isolated cases. And I would never support having a doctor cut off somebody's fingers because they thought their fingers didn't belong. That's where we draw the line. You don't get it. Once you erase lines, you don't get to redraw them. Once you give in to the sentimentalism, you don't get to put any governor on it. It is gone. And we've seen this in identity politics, and this is just sort of the latest extension of it, as you're describing, Wesley.
Yeah, there's no end point as far as I can see. And what happens when the fellow then says, well, I actually shouldn't have a left elbow? What are we going to just start hacking people up? I mean,
No, we're far too civilized for that. We could never engage in this kind of barbarism, and yet all around us, people see barbarism that they can't believe we're engaged in. So if you don't think this is real, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, anyone who says that can't happen here has been asleep for the last 50 years.
Wesley Smith, Senior Fellow at the Discovery Institute Center on Human Exceptionalism. Wesley, thank you for joining us again.
Always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Well, that was fun. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-349-8877. That's 800-349-8877. 800-349-8877.
I got to shake that last segment. Oh, my goodness.
It's interesting because after the golf I played on Sunday, I was thinking about having both my arms amputated. I don't think I'm going to do it now, though.
Okay. Maybe you should just try some
That's
balance
the only way
of nature.
that's the only way I can make myself stop. I don't know.
Okay. Let's just regroup, everybody. We've got some balance of nature that we'd like you to try. And Dan, this might help your golf game. I don't know if you've seen the commercials with those successful golfers out on the links, and they attribute it to balance of nature for them to have energy. And I think maybe I should send some bottles your way. Or maybe you could stop smoking that cigar for a second and listen to this amazing live read. 31 fruits and veggies, real food, real science, real nutrition. And people take it, swear by it. They say they do have increased energy. I agree. And the ability to keep doing the things that they love even as they age. So get your health back and get the nutrition your body needs. Dan, how many fruits and vegetables did you have yesterday?
I had broccoli
don't
with my meatloaf. That counts.
Oh, you had broccoli?
Yeah.
Okay. Any fruit?
No.
Okay. Well, then you need balance of nature. So feel good that you're doing something for yourself. Get your order bottles of fruits and veggies today. The number to call is 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or simply go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatment that delivers lasting results. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Michael Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. With all the convulsions at our campuses on behalf of Hamas, an officially designated terrorist organization, we need to ask what these students are being taught. The protesters and rioters, after all, are marching and rioting against one of the most classically liberal entities in the world, Israel, and on behalf of a society of the medieval, radical Islam that kills LGBTQ identifiers, bans abortion and religious pluralism, and oppresses women. They are marching on behalf of a government that is perhaps the least enlightened in the history of the world. Meanwhile, the administration, like most colleges, to borrow from the political philosopher Leo Strauss, are listening and paying tribute to the least wise and least moderate part of this nation, while it is in its least wise and least moderate mood, and at the same time praising wisdom and moderation. Will those supporting Hamas today look back and someday ask, what was I thinking, as those who supported Germany in the 1930s did, or the Soviets in the 40s and 50s? Let us hope and pray. The stakes are that high.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, I want to tell you about the John Wayne Bobbitt story. Another body part's gone.
Oh boy.
It has nothing to do with Lorena Bobbitt either.
Is he visiting a clinic in the Netherlands or?
No, actually, it's a sad story. Well, the first one wasn't too happy.
It wasn't great, no. Not great for him. Coming up at 7:37, who's lining up to buy BLM Brandon's bonds to turn the financial district into a ghetto? We'll start there with Ted Dabrowski, wirepoints.org. All things Illinois policy related at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It is 7:31, 56 degrees in Chicago. And the New York trial of former President Donald Trump set to resume today, with the judge deciding if the former president has violated his gag order. The U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments in a couple of big cases today. One involving a man from El Salvador who was denied a visa to be with his wife, an American citizen. The other case involves whether the NLRB can order employers to rehire workers they say were fired without just cause. Tensions remain high as protesters on a growing number of college campuses continue to call attention to the Middle East. Congressman Dan Goldman wants the students to back down.
There's no question that everyone has a First Amendment right to speak out in this country, and that must be preserved. But the university and all universities have an obligation to maintain the safety and security of their students.
Meantime, the owner of the New England Patriots is pulling his donations to Columbia University as those pro-Palestinian protests continue. Chicago police are still searching for the person responsible for the shooting death of an off-duty officer over the weekend. Officer Luis Huesca was shot and killed early Sunday. Now, CPD is releasing surveillance video of the person wanted in connection with that shooting, apparently making two purchases at convenience stores. Authorities warn he should be considered armed and dangerous. A truck driver charged in the crash that killed a DeKalb County Sheriff's deputy last month is pleading not guilty. Nathan Sweeney entered the not guilty plea yesterday in court. He faces 3 counts of aggravated DUI causing death. Work underway on a $300 million terminal development project at O'Hare.
It's going to change the flying experience for so many thousands of people who use O'Hare. It's going to be the first impression of the city for many people, and for those, I wanted to have a good impression.
At Senator Dick Durbin, the plan includes improved security screening and luggage handling at Terminal 3. The Bears are gearing up to unveil plans for a new domed lakefront stadium. Bears are pledging to spend $2 billion on the public project. White Sox fail again, losing to the Twins 7-0. Cubs take on the Astros tonight. The news, a service of ReviveYourLawn.com. Soggy and muddy yard, pooling water, neighbor drainage runoff. Boy, that's a constant battle until the experts at Revive Your Lawn get on the scene. Request your free drainage system consultation at ReviveYourLawn.com. AM 560 news time is 7:34. We'll have a check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees another reach from the White House.
The Biden administration is proposing a sweeping initiative to slash student debt for nearly 30 million Americans. The proposal marks a major new White House effort to appeal to progressive and younger voters. What is this actually what Joe Biden is doing? This is naked bribery.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Public universities in Illinois are teeing up the next scam in the state. And if it comes to fruition, it's likely they will find themselves embroiled in a lawsuit all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Illinois Board of Higher Education, progressive Democrat state legislators, and university presidents have put together a plan to fund higher education based on race. These overeducated elitists, sitting in their academic bubble and seeped in their racial equity dogma, have literally put a price on students based only on their race. One of their proposed adjustments for additional money assigns Black students' worth at $6,000, Hispanic students $4,000, and a student from a rural district $2,000. If they admit a Black rural student, then the equity adjustment is stackable to a maximum of $8,000. White and Asian students don't merit any additional money. The highly credentialed academics spend 2 years on their plan, but a simple reading of the Civil Rights Act and the recent decision by the Supreme Court forbidding race-based admissions should have been enough to stop them from wasting their time. This work was done to prove up that our universities are underfunded, but Illinois is a leader in funding higher education. According to the State Higher Education Executive Officers Association, Illinois ranks number 1 in the amount of state support for higher education, giving nearly $23,000 in funding per student to our universities. The U.S. average is $10,237. Maybe we have an efficiency problem. Instead of focusing on equity, maybe the University of Illinois can have their professors at their highly regarded business school sharpen those pencils and get to work on optimizing operations. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on this station Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code EARN.
7:36. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. Kennedy inbound, disabled vehicle right lane blocked. That's right at Keeler, and right now it is an hour and 20 minutes inbound from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at an hour 20. Solid between 25th and Kedzie, and you're slow into the old post office. Stevenson jams up inbound between 1st and Kedzie, and the Dan Ryan right now 35 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our Revive Your Lawn Weather Center, we see morning rain, maybe an afternoon thunderstorm, and a high of 63. 56 right now. Your next news comes up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and that theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. This pronouncement from the fifth floor, Mayor BLM Brandon, announcing that his vision for a Gimme Dat Chicago has financing today. That was last week. We passed our $1.25 billion bond ordinance, which will bring transformative investments to Chicago neighborhoods with critical assistance for new businesses, cultural centers, affordable homes, and neighborhood and workforce development. He's bringing it all under the city's umbrella.
A better, stronger, safer Chicago.
Who is lining up to buy BLM Brandon bonds? That's what I want to know. Ted, thanks for joining us.
Ted, are you there?
Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys.
Are you staking out some of those bonds for all these transformative investments? This is how we invest in people, said BLM Brandon.
I want some of those in my portfolio. No, there's going to be demand. There's always demand for Chicago bonds and Illinois bonds because we pay
Yield.
the highest interest rates.
Yeah.
Yield, and people are hungry for it. Of course, less so than it was in the past when rates were zero. So now, Chicago competes with other places, and so maybe it'll be a little tougher. But they'll find buyers. But I think the real problem is going to be is that this is like, if I could convince anybody, if I could convince people, this is a horrible thing to do. The more power over such critical infrastructure things in the power of Brandon Johnson and the city council's hands is sad. I think we run the risk of them taking the next steps, and we've talked about that, LaSalle Street and others. They're going to try to do things in their vision, and their vision is highly flawed, as I think we've talked about.
City-owned housing, city-owned, essentially, or finance businesses. It's funny because all he's doing is what's being proposed by his fellow travelers at the federal level. Last week, an op-ed from Comrade Bernie and AOC, the front girl for the Socialist Spice Girls, announcing our Green New Deal for public housing. That is a win-win-win. That's a triple win. That's not a twofer, it's a threefer. Win-win-win for America. Here's why. The U.S. has lost 1 in 4 public housing units to privatization, demolition, and underfunding over the last decade. Need to shore that up, put those towers back, Ted, and retrofit some of those office buildings in the financial district similarly, so that we win for the people.
Yeah, I think it's a sad state, and we've talked a lot about how Chicago is already at the bottom of the barrel nationally. If you look at the Case-Shiller Index, which has the value of properties in Chicago, and if you look at the last 20 years, there's one city that stands out above all the others when you're talking about the 20 largest cities in the country, and that's Chicago. It'll be at the bottom of the list for home growth, home value growth, and that's a lot of that has to do with failed policies. And now we're going to have guys and gals who think that they can do better than the markets, and that's been the problem in Chicago. Is we got people who are smarter than the markets, and they will continue to make a mess of downtown.
And what about the migrant situation? I mean, $70 million was voted by the city council, not without some pushback from like Alderman Lopez, Alderman Beal. But where is that money coming from, Ted?
Oh, geez, it's the same money. All you got to do is borrow $1.25 billion, and you got money. I think what's interesting about the whole migrant crisis, and they're getting a little smarter. If you followed the news, they want to combine the homelessness approach by combining the traditional Chicagoans who are homelessness with the migrants and create one pool and one management source. So that way they're not creating the envy between the two. So that's the kind of smart quote. I put that between quotes. Smart action they're going to take to eliminate or try to eliminate some of the animosity between groups. Is lump them all together.
It's bringing people together.
Works.
That's harmonizing. That is wonderful. Bringing people together around the same trough. I mean, that's what we do in Chicago best we can. Sometimes the trough isn't as big as it needs to be. You got to get a bigger trough.
Yep. Well, which brings us to the 9% raises that Chicago Teachers Union wants. People thought that was a max. So the Chicago Teachers Union is negotiating a new contract, probably a 4-year contract, maybe 5. And in there, they want new salaries and new benefits. And of course, with Brandon Johnson in the seat there, the opposition, in theory, should be very limited to what the CTU wants. And so they want 9% minimum raises per year. And on top of that would be other stuff. 9% raises per year for the next 4 years. I mean, imagine that. I mean, I would love a guaranteed 9% raise a year.
Well, I hope that was just
that in their contract.
Yeah. I thought that was just a starting point. What they really want is $2,000 per illegal child that is now in the classroom. So anyone that's here, because they need to fill the classrooms, but they also are going to give them a benefit.
That's on the institutional side. But first we get paid. Then the system gets paid. Yeah. Let's keep the rank order priority right. Yeah. No, it's cool. Well, what's the problem? State Davis case. And so what?
And so what?
And so what? They want 36% over 4 years. And so what? They want $2,000 per kid of an illegal in this city, in this country. So what? So what are you going to do about it?
We're going to pay it.
Yeah, that's right. Or they'll strike. As they said this, they're still keeping the possibility of a strike open.
And they want housing, too, for CPS employees who can't afford to live in this city.
Damn straight.
Well, then get a second job. A lot of people have second jobs.
No.
The teachers I know.
These are educators. They're singularly focused. They're all artists. And as such, you know, the fact that they're the highest paid teachers adjusted for cost of living in the country, they need to be higher still. That's how it is.
What goes unsaid is that, what goes unsaid is the starting teachers have the highest starting salary in the country, as you just said, over $60,000. I mean, if you're a young person starting at CPS and making over $60,000, I mean that's pretty good compared to people who move into advertising or something like that. Who are
pretty good.
Well, you have 16 weeks off a year too.
Pretty good ain't good enough. These are advertising. The financial services. What are you talking about? These are people that are educating the next generation of our kids. There is no more important job. They should all be making as much as Ken Griffin used to make when he was in Chicago. You can't put a price tag on educating kids, Ted, Amy. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you hate teachers.
I don't hate teachers.
You do.
No, I don't. I love.
You do.
I love
you
my
do.
son's teachers. They were
nope.
great. And
not if you don't write a blank check. You don't like teachers. That's what I've learned.
If you complain about the results, you hate teachers, right? So it's I like to say it's hard to blame any one group because it's so damn it's so bad that you have to blame everybody who touches the system. So teachers, of course, included, but
and with
administrators, everybody.
Yeah, with respect to the migrant kids in school, I look at this. I mean, people look at this in a negative light.
I try to be
because you're not welcoming like I am.
I'm very welcoming.
I'm more welcoming, and let me tell you how welcoming I am.
Tell me, and I'll tell you how I'm welcoming.
I'm looking at this like the college portal. All we're doing is we've established a portal, and we're transferring in K through 12 students from Central and South America and Eastern Europe and anywhere else from where they would like to move to come to Chicago. We're just transferring them in so that we can fill these slots because, as I see from WirePoint, the number of more than half-empty schools in Chicago has doubled over the past decade. Fill these slots so the properly paid teachers, once they get the 36% raise, can impose their artistry on kids the world over. And now we're not just making it rain for Chicago's kids. We're doing it globally. How do you like that?
I do like the portal mentioned because we have a lot of Illinois kids who've entered the portal and gone to Texas and Tennessee and Florida. So we have these half-empty schools. We used to have 75 of the Chicago schools that were half-empty or more. It's doubled 163 schools. So, like you say, we need people to fill those schools because they're empty.
Uprising has 51 students and 52 teachers. Yeah.
Well,
so I heard they're getting a lot of the migrants
phenomenal.
there. Yep.
Absolutely. That's why
One-on-one's just a little boring for the
Well,
teachers.
first of all, that's the proper ratio. So we need more students and more
they're
teachers
still
and
not doing
wraparound
well.
services.
Mhm.
You need language support. You need financial planners. You need attorneys, real estate agents, all for each kid. You need like the full complement of professional services that anybody might need coming to Chicago. We'll pick up, by the way, too. We'll pick up the real estate agents commission too on any home they want to purchase with city assistance. I think that's only fair.
Right.
I mean, let's do this. Let's do this right. Let's do this big, like Stacey Davis Case wants. But by the way, I saw that Springfield offered this sort of pro forma, I stood up to Chicago bulljive vote. Some no confidence vote in BLM Brandon and Stacey Davis Gates about what they want to do to eliminate selective enrollment schools. No. We're going to vote against that to show how we're, if you're not a Chicago legislator, how we're standing up to Chicago. If you are, we're standing up to the teachers union. I mean, that's so contrived.
Oh, it was funny because I had some people call me and say, that's good news. Why don't we cover that? And I said, wait a minute. The same people who are trying to protect the selective enrollment schools are the same ones who just killed Invest in Kids Act. Let's not forget that. So let's not jump up and down about these guys. This has more to do with with internal battles than it does with the fact that these legislators are somehow now keen on choice.
And the people that said that to you, that, hey, this is good news, you should report on it, those I bet are like center-right people, right?
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Because
They
want to
understand.
find something good to celebrate.
Either they're just sort of given in to the delusion of wanting like the rest of the state and just tell me beautiful lies. Tell me there's hope, even if tell me this is an instance of something to be hopeful about, even if it's not. Or they still understand absolutely nothing about this political class and this political culture. It's just stunning.
Dan, they don't understand, and this is it. They want to say, hey, we've got to say something good about what's going on. Because Pritzker and they actually did something good, and we should make sure we celebrate that and cheer them on. Never mind that they'll stab you in the back on the things that are really important, like investing in kids. So it is the educational elite continue to be confused about what's good and what's bad.
Absolute willing, enthusiastic participants in their own and their community's destruction. I mean, this is the under-discussed story is what we and the right or center right don't do. I mean, does it take? We talk about getting through to BLM Brandon or the teachers union or union rank and file. We can't even get through to people who are similarly disposed.
That's absolutely right. And what people forget in this bill is that in addition to blocking the selective enrollment school closings, is the legislators actually appease the unions by saying you can't close down empty schools either. So
of course,
the unions got what they wanted, right? Because that was part of it. Originally the bill was don't close selective enrollment schools, and suddenly it became don't close selective enrollment schools or all these empty schools. So there you go.
I feel like I'm in line. The movie Airplane, where that woman gets hysterical and a line forms. Yeah. Somebody tries to slap her out of it, and then other people in line have like a tire iron and a pipe and a baseball bat. I think that's what we need. I think we need a line, and those people who call you and who fit that profile, treat them like the hysterical woman in the Airplane movie. I don't know what else will work.
That's really good. That's really good. It's exactly that. We keep slapping it in the face and it doesn't work. So we go to the next one, it doesn't work. It's good.
Ted Dabrowski, President, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks as always, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicagoland agrees. McGrath Lexus is the overwhelming choice of luxury vehicle shoppers. Their unparalleled team of sales consultants expertly help you navigate their immense inventory to arrive at the perfect vehicle for you. With 2 convenient state-of-the-art dealerships in downtown Chicago and in Westmont, they offer 2 times the selection and 2 times the discounts. And right now, McGrath Lexus is offering a premium for your current vehicle. It will never be worth more. Make this the year you enjoy the luxury of Lexus as only McGrath can offer. Your McGrath experience will take Lexus ownership to a whole new level. Do not deny yourself this privilege. You deserve it. Visit one of our 2 McGrath Lexus dealerships in downtown Chicago or in Westmont, or visit us online at McGrathLexus.com, because
when you do the math, you choose McGrath.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You have to feel good. When you feel good, you look good. And when you look good, things happen. My name's Gary. I exercise almost every day. I'm more active than the average 71-year-old man. I started taking Balance of Nature, and I can feel the benefits from it. It's been a little bit of a revolutionary product for me. I stand behind the product. I stand behind what I say. Balance of Nature, it's a great product for me.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to every radio show over the last 10 years, all commercial free. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did the Protestant Reformation suffer a premature death? Absolutely, argues the riveting book, Reviving the Reformation by Dr. Daniel Lang. The book of Acts chapter 21 verse 20 reports that myriads or tens of thousands of Jewish believers dwelled in Jerusalem, and they were all zealous for the Torah. Their leaders were guiding the early Messianic faith. 40 years after the death of Jesus, however, the Jews revolted against Rome. This rebellion caused a Roman hammer to crush Israel, destroying the temple and Jerusalem. Following this devastation, the leadership of the Jerusalem church fell into other hands. Reviving the Reformation recovers the lost first-century Messianic faith. It answers the most difficult questions that some dare not ask about traditional Christianity. Buy Reviving the Reformation on Amazon. For a deep discount, purchase the book securely from the author at revivingthereformation.com. That's revivingthereformation.com. And like Reviving the Reformation on Facebook. With biblical faith fading fast in Western culture, now is the time to restore the truth by reviving the Reformation.
President Ronald Reagan immortalized the phrase, "It's morning in America." These words symbolized a fresh start and a new dawn of freedom, an ideal embraced in the educational programs at Young America's Foundation. YAF has introduced countless high school and college students to the principles of individual freedom, free enterprise, and traditional values. Now, YAF offers a middle school program to capture the hearts and minds of a new generation. The Middle School Expedition to the Reagan Boyhood Home in Dixon will inspire students in grades 6 through 8 with the values of faith, freedom, enterprise, and opportunity, the cornerstones of the American dream. This May 3rd through 4th, 2024, step into an adventure in leadership at the Reagan Boyhood Home in Dixon, Illinois. Go to yaf.org to apply now. Click on Middle School Expedition to learn more. That's yaf.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, let me squeeze this in here because I keep teasing it. John Wayne Bobbitt, he lost another body part. He lost a few of his toes. So not only did his ex-wife cut off his penis, and it was surgically reattached, by the way, in 1993, he now has lost a few toes, and he blames it on the water at Camp Lejeune. And he says
really?
that oil and the industrial wastewater that was dumped into the storm drains may have played a part in his toxic relationship with Lorena, his then wife. So,
how's his penis doing?
I don't know. It's attached, so that's good news. All right. It is 8 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Former President Trump has just arrived in a New York court again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, where he faces up to $10,000 in fines at a hearing this hour before his criminal trial resumes into 10 alleged Trump gag order violations.
And prosecutors from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office want Judge Juan Merchan to warn the former president that he could end up in jail for 30 days if he does not cut it out.
Fox's Eric Shawn outside the court says that gag order was imposed after
Mr. Trump's attacks on witnesses, court staff, and the judge's daughter. You know, she works for a political consulting firm that advises many prominent Democrats, among them President Biden.
The former president calls this entire criminal case political persecution. He's charged with falsifying records in the 2016 payments to an adult film star to keep her allegations of an affair he denies quiet. The Senate plans to vote today on a foreign aid package the House passed Saturday, despite some Republicans objecting to new Ukraine funding. 61 of the $95 billion package would go help Ukraine battle Russia. Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports.
Some Republicans could make an attempt to stonewall the bill's passage over frustrations with its price tag and a lack of border security measures. Progressive Senator Bernie Sanders says he plans to offer amendments to, quote, cut billions in offensive military funding to Israel.
Now, pro-Palestinian protests keep flaring up on college campuses from California to Michigan to New York. That's at NYU, where police made dozens of arrests. At Columbia, they've set up hybrid learning the rest of the semester. Students fearing for their safety can take classes remotely. 4 weeks after a cargo ship crashed into a Baltimore bridge, collapsing and killing 6 workers, the city's filed a lawsuit that
accuses Grace Ocean, the owner of the Dolly, and its managing company, Synergy Marine Group, of negligence in operating the ship. It seeks unspecified damages and says the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge has hurt the economy, forced cleanup on the river.
That's Tanya J. Powers. America's listening to Fox News.
56 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. And good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Track conditions have disrupted service on the CTA Blue Line this morning. CTA saying train service is suspended right now between Forest Park and Harlem. Shuttle buses are in place. It's unknown what caused the track conditions. Blood evidence found in the home of Maxwell Anderson, man accused of killing and mutilating 19-year-old Sade Robinson in Milwaukee, does not appear to match the college student's DNA. Anderson, 33, has been charged with first-degree intentional homicide and mutilating a corpse in Robinson's death. One person was apparently killed in a crash on the Stevenson this morning involving an SUV and a motorcycle. Illinois State Police say early this morning that motorcycle was on I-355's southbound ramp to I-55 northbound when it crashed and landed in the northbound lanes of I-55. Chicago police are still searching for the person responsible for the shooting death of an off-duty officer over the weekend. Luis Huesca was shot and killed early Sunday in the 3100 block of 56th Street. CPD releasing surveillance videos of the person wanted in connection to that shooting, apparently making purchases at 2 convenience stores. Chicago sports, White Sox lost to the Twins 7-0. Cubs take on the Astros tonight. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Shield your complete infrastructure from malware, phishing scams, and other threats. Turnkey has solutions to protect your business. Visit Turnkey.pro. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
General Motors is more optimistic about this year after an upbeat quarter. Earnings rose 24%. GM is seeing resilient consumer spending despite high interest rates and strong demand for its Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra gas-powered pickups. One disappointing spot, China, where GM lost money in the quarter. There's a merger in the sports retail business. JD Sports Fashion is buying Hibbett. The deal values Hibbett at more than $1 billion. Amazon will offer a $9.99 a month 1-hour grocery delivery plan for Prime members and a $4.99 a month service for customers on a supplemental benefits plan. The fee covers unlimited delivery from Whole Foods and participating retailers. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees another cover-up.
Merrick Garland is refusing to release the audio of Special Counsel Robert Hur's deposition of Joe Biden on the illegally held classified documents that he kept for decades in his garage. You know, the one where he couldn't remember what year his son died or when he was vice president. Refusing to release.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You have to feel good. When you feel good, you look good. And when you look good, things happen. My name's Gary. I exercise almost every day. I'm more active than the average 71-year-old man. I started taking Balance of Nature, and I can feel the benefits from it. It's been a little bit of a revolutionary product for me. I stand behind the product. I stand behind what I say. Balance of Nature, it's a great product for me.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of ReviveYourLawn.com. Don't DIY, RYL. Revive your lawn with the landscape and design experts. Outdoor patios, kitchens, hardscapes, softscapes, and more. Get an instant online estimate today at reviveyourlawn.com. Inbound Edens, 30. Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy solid, 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound right now, 42 to the big airport. Aiken, 81 minutes. 390 to the old post office. Outbound jams up Oak Park Avenue all the way out to I-88. The Stevenson running at an hour into DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and the Ryan 33 in from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our Revive Your Lawn Weather Center, here's Steve Williams.
Clouds and breezy rain this morning. A thunderstorm later on this afternoon, high 63. Thunderstorm early this evening. Partly cloudy, cold tonight, low 39. Partly sunny, breezy tomorrow, the high 50. Sunny to partly cloudy on Thursday with a high 60. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
56 at O'Hare, partly sunny skies. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Bidenflation, what people... Well, it's not people don't understand it as much as politicians don't understand it. They don't understand then why people don't understand it. I guess they're somewhat insulated from the vagaries of having to pay for food and fuel, as our friend Scott the Cow Guy Shellady likes to say, food and fuel. And food and fuel is where American families have been taken in the pants over the last 3 years. Wages not keeping up with price increases, and people who are not insulated from economic reality feel those things because they got less money to spend to get by on a daily basis. Yeah. And so, like your goldfish threshold case of how much is a bag of goldfish.
It's a box of goldfish, Dan, and it started out at $4.86 when Trump was in office, and it's now $11.98. And that is sickening. But it's not only hitting; it's hitting every part of America. Here's a reporter from Billings, Montana. This is good stuff.
Visit just about any restaurant or store, and you'll hear people talking about inflation. And the Evergreen Cafe inside this Billings Ace hardware store is no exception.
Our food costs have increased by about 175%. Everything from dairy, especially meat and poultry, has been a huge factor. Grocery items such as fruits and vegetables.
Andrew Lochner and his wife have owned this cafe for the past 2 years and have seen the costs go up significantly. That's one reason the business played host to a roundtable discussion on the topic held by Senator Steve Daines.
I think some of these massive spending and tax bills contribute to what's going on with the inflation.
According to the senator's office, the consumer price index rose 3.5% in March, and inflation has been on the rise significantly ever since COVID. According to the Joint Economic Committee, the average Montana household has spent $26,000 more due to inflation since January of 2021. Breaking down the numbers even further, that equates to $253 more a month on housing, $141 more per month on energy costs, and $142 a month more on food.
Yeah, food and fuel. We need to get those I did that stickers that used to populate gas pumps around America and start having restaurants put them on their menus next to the pricing. Grocery stores put them on their products. For more on this, please be joined by Robert Posen. He's a senior lecturer at the MIT Sloan School of Management, former chairman of MFS Investment Management as well. Robert Posen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Glad to be with you, Ed.
So we've talked about this quite a bit. I don't think you need to explain it to ordinary Americans as much as, yes, inflation has come down. So what you're seeing is prices increasing at a slower rate, but they're still increasing. Biden doesn't seem to understand that, and his miscommunication leads to a misunderstanding of what the American people understand.
Yeah, I think the problem is that the economists are focused on a very narrow set of numbers. they're looking at what's happened over the last year, and inflation over the last year has subsided, but it's still 3.5% for the year. But as you say, the normal consumer doesn't just say, okay, what happened during the last year? They're looking at price level over the last few years. And if we look at price levels over the last 3 years, ending January 2024, prices on all items were up around 18%. Now, of course, we see that, some economists want to take out food and fuel, and I agree with you. It's crazy to take out food and fuel because people have to pay for it. But even if you took out food and fuel, prices over 3 years would still be up over 16%. And that's what I think people look at. They don't look at what just happened narrowly in the last year. They look at what happened over the last several years. And then they compare it to what happened to their pay. Well, the average pay over the last 3 years went up around 15.3%. And that's not take-home pay. That's before tax. And, of course, there's withholding for Medicare and Social Security at 14.3%. So that 15.3% wage increase isn't really what it seems. Because, again, people look at what they actually got in their take-home pay, and they compare it to what they had to pay for these goods and services several years ago. So I think the economists have it all wrong. They're looking at this very narrowly and not understanding the very common sense view that most consumers have.
Right, they're practical. Like, food and fuel, it's not just I got to pay for it, it's I got to pay for it to live. Some other things I can do without, but I can't do without food and fuel.
Yeah. The other thing is it's the price level, not the rate of increase. The rate of increase over the last year has been, say, 3.1 to 3.5%. But that's not what people look at. They think, look, I bought a tuna fish sandwich in the beginning of 2021, and I paid takeout $10 for the sandwich. Now that sandwich cost me like $12.80. And so it's a lot more. The 3% is like irrelevant. And then, of course, when you go to get a takeout these days, people want a tip, even for a takeout. So, of course, you got to increase that. So your tuna sandwich that used to be $10 a sandwich, is now $13. And that's a big increase. And it's irrelevant that prices only went up by 3%. The question is, what's the price level from several years ago as compared to today? That's what consumers look at, and that's what economists are missing.
Well, I got to tell you, I got an oil change yesterday, and last time I got my oil changed, it was $62, $77. And I said, "What? It's the same product." He goes, "Everything is going up. Everything is more expensive. We have not increased our labor costs to do it, but I mean they keep chipping away and chipping away. So how do we make America affordable again?"
Well, I think that's a difficult question, but we first need to change expectations here, because we've gotten ourselves into an inflationary spiral, and the Fed was very late in fighting it. So I think the Fed's going to have to keep interest rates up for a little while longer and really start to bring down people's expectations. People for a long time thought interest rates would be at zero. Now that's changed. And so we've got to change the whole dynamic here. And we've got to accept a little slower growth and maybe a little higher unemployment to get inflation expectations back to normal. We're way off the chart because the Fed was very late in combating inflation, and now we're fighting a rearguard action.
Well, the other thing, too, is all these wondrous investments that the administration is touting to transform our economy. They're not paying dividends for American people. They're not even paying dividends to the rent seekers that they're underwriting. Wall Street Journal had it yesterday. Despite billions of dollars in subsidies over the last few decades, more energy products still failing to launch. On Friday, 3 New York offshore wind projects hit the rocks owing to rising costs and technical snafus. The New York State Energy Research and Development Authority one of these industrial policy outposts, called off contract negotiations with 3 wind developers after turbine manufacturer GE Vernova said it couldn't deliver 18-megawatt turbines for the project. So this powering our $23 trillion economy on wind and solar panels isn't that transformation isn't happening quite as seamlessly as advertised.
Well, I think that's that while those facts are true, this is all the money that goes into that energy infrastructure now is just starting, and the money going into chips. So a lot of that money is being spent in the United States. Exactly what's going to come about that, I don't think we know yet. So it's unclear, I think, whether those expenditures are going to be productive or not. I just think the jury's still out on that.
So with respect to fiscal and monetary policy, you mentioned Jay Powell and the Fed. You heard Senator Daines on that clip mention the profligate fiscal policies of the executive and congressional branches, legislative branches of government. You know, Milton Friedman, of course, famously said inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. Is that still operative, or is it at this level of profligacy on both the fiscal and monetary sides? Is it a combination of the two?
Well, right now we have tight monetary policy, so we don't have.
That came after profligate.
That came after a long time, and in Congress, both sides are willing to spend a huge amount of money on a wide variety of things. So we've got to combine what we have now, which is stricter monetary policy, with some fiscal constraints, and that takes both parties' willingness to cut back on spending. And so far, we haven't seen that, and it's in the context of Social Security and Medicare going way up, and now interest on the national debt's going up. And then, of course, we have these increasing obligations in foreign countries to help fight the war in Ukraine, to fight off Russia. So we're facing many fiscal obligations that we can't get rid of. So we need to be much more careful about adding on any new obligations. But that would require discipline on part of both Democrats and Republicans, and so far we haven't seen that very well.
No, we haven't. Robert Posen is a senior lecturer at the MIT Sloan School of Management, former chairman of MFS Investment Management as well. Robert Posen, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
Hey guys, it's not enough to manipulate your testosterone by getting those shots. Did you ever stop to ask, why is my testosterone level so low anyway? Well, if you're a Y guy like me, I've got something for you to think about. Hormone levels get skewed not with age. Hormones get skewed by poor lifestyle habits. Our male hormone test can help us find the why behind your male hormone challenges. So give us a call and get your male hormone test today. Pumping hormones into your bloodstream is not the answer, not without the many health risks associated. Stop tampering with your hormones, because if you don't, you'll probably live long enough to regret it. So from one Y guy to another Y guy, let's get her done the right way, the only way, taking more natural steps towards healthy hormone balance and performance today. It's our male hormone test. No blood, just spit. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
All right, I just did it. Took my balance of nature, cracked 3 fruits, 3 vegetable capsules into warm water, stirred it, and voila. Real food, real science, real nutrition. I get the increased energy that I need for a busy schedule that we have here at AM 560. And I have the ability to keep doing the things I love, even as I age. And I'm getting older. We all are. So feel better and get the nutrition your body needs. Get balance of nature. Feel good that you're doing something for yourself. Be proactive. The number to call is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Give it a try. Newcomers, first-timers, get 35% off and free shipping. Nothing to lose. or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use discount code Chicago.
When the storms hit Chicagoland this spring and your home or business has water damage, ProTech Restoration is ready 24/7. The certified team at ProTech Restoration will be there quickly and work directly with your insurance. But even in between the storms, if you come across water in your basement, bathroom, or kitchen due to leaking pipes, an appliance breakdown, or sump pump failure, know that ProTech Restoration has seen it all and knows what to do. They are a leading Chicagoland emergency water damage cleanup, repair, and restoration company, offering 24-hour rapid response. They'll clean up, extract, repair, even do a total build back. Search online for ProTech Restoration in Elk Grove Village and check out their Google reviews. To get your free on-site evaluation and estimate, visit protechwaterdamage.com. That's ProTech waterdamage.com. Servicing the entire Chicagoland. ProTech Restoration. Experience, transparency, trust. ProTechWaterDamage.com.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss even when you monitor your credit. If your identity's stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% their first year with my name, Clay, as the promo code at LifeLock.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, you know how you said you're feeling old?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't feel old. I am older.
Right. You're about to feel older still.
Uh-huh.
Molly Ringwald. You remember Molly Ringwald?
Oh, yes. 16 Candles, Breakfast Club. You know, I never saw 16 Candles the entire way through, but I did see Breakfast Club a million times. I love that movie. Because the last scene, he's walking.
Don't spoiler alert.
Oh, well, he's walking across the football field at Glenbrook South High School.
Oh gosh,
and that's right by our house, so we watched that scene.
We're such 80s
people.
I mean, we're such hicks. Lucas was at Glenbard West. He walked across Glenbrook South football field. Blah blah blah. Lame. Anyway,
well, that was a big deal back then. I mean, to have a film, shot in Chicago area, Home Alone 2, or Home Alone 2, all of that. And John Hughes was great because he, brought all that to us. And he was a very nice man. He always asked for my mom whenever he went to Spalding and Company Jewelers at Northbrook Court. He was a regular customer. So thank you for helping the family.
Wow. Oh,
I met him too. He's a very nice man. But he always asked for my mom, Louise. Always asked for her.
Nobody did coming of age films in the 80s better than John Hughes. I agree. How about Pretty in Pink? How about Pickup Artists? Did you see those? Yeah. Anyway, Molly Ringwald recently commented on whether those movies that brought her stardom could be made today. Boy, we have that conversation a lot, don't we? Could something that happened 5 minutes ago be made today? Could The Office be made today? No. Could anything be made today? Could Seinfeld be made today? No.
Blazing Saddles? Heck no.
Well, of course not. Molly Ringwald had this to say about her oeuvre.
Those movies, the movies that I'm so well known for, they were very much of a time, and if you were to remake that now, I think it would have to be much more diverse, and it would have to be, you couldn't make a movie that white now. Those movies are really, really very white, and they don't really represent, what it is to be a teenager in a school in America today. I don't think so.
Is that something to applaud? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. Yeah, and the remake of 16 Candles, Jake Ryan will be played by Dylan Mulvaney.
Long Duck Dong.
Long Duck Dong. It's racist.
Why is it
There's
racist?
no Long Duck
That was his
Dong.
name. I mean, that's what they called him.
Oh,
right?
with
Or am I
the caricaturing and so on and so forth. No. Molly Ringwald's character
Who should that be now?
in 16 Candles.
Uh-huh.
Chaz Bono, maybe. Don't you think?
You know what? I could see it.
To represent America, the American high school experience as it is today. They were so white. Yeah, well, I don't know. Why were they so popular?
But
And
a lot of white people were in the suburbs back then. Now, I mean, it's a lot more diverse.
I guess, but so what? So black kids going to suburban school districts, at least the ones that vaguely resemble what they were 30 or 40 years ago, they can't relate to, prom and the cliques in high school and so on and so forth. Really, it's that different. So what would it be then? What would make it more diverse? Fighting in the hallways?
What's
girl fighting in particular? What is it that would be so like representative of a high school today that would be so much more positive? The sexualization of kids in classrooms, everybody sitting around reading, pick a title, any title. We've gone through them all. The Pride year at high schools. Oh, they were so white. Oh, really? So can I watch, I don't know, Roots and take something away from that piece of artistry? Or I can't because I'm black, because I'm not black. Only black people can. Can I take something away from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier? Sure I can, even though I'm a honky from the suburbs. That statement that everybody giggles at and applauds is ignorance celebrating ignorance. It's so white. Like they were so awful. Really?
Last I checked, Molly Ringwald's white, so.
By the way, in terms of making you feel older than you already
what do
feel,
you got, boss?
How old do you think Jake Ryan is? The actor who played Jake Ryan.
Oh dear Lord, 50. What?
He may even be a little older than you.
How old is he?
63.
Yeah, he's a lot older than me.
63. Jake Ryan is 63.
Old. Gene Hackman is 94 or 95. Did you see him recently?
Yeah. Well, he's 94.
I know, but I don't want him to be 94. I want him to be as he was in Hoosiers.
Yeah, but I mean, he was so Hoosiers 80s. So he was
How old then?
Early 50s in Hoosiers.
Right.
But he was a guy. I mean, if you go back and like look at the French Connection. I mean, for example, I mean, he's got so many films. One of the great actors of all time, from Danville. He was a guy who looked like he was 50 when he was 30, and then he sort of looked like he was still in his 50s when he was 70. So it was weird. I think it was the haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I mean, because in the Firm he was probably 70, and he still looked like looked like Coach Norman Dale. Dave in Ravenswood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I mean, that comment to me just shines a light on how the anti-racist is by nature racist because you're focused on race. It's a cycle, a feedback loop of humanity. They did the same thing in 2019 around Christmas. There were all these articles about the Rockettes, that New York dance act about the Rockettes so white, it's going to be a white Christmas. Why, when it comes to art, do we have to have this diversity? It's crazy. Would you ever imagine that group Boys to Men in the 90s, one of my favorite 90s bands, saying, well, it's not diverse enough. We need to throw in a couple of Mexicans, a white guy, and an Asian. That'll make it better. No, it wouldn't. It would ruin it. It's just crazy to me.
It is. Thanks for the call, Dave.
Got a text message. Shaft should have been played by Sly Stallone.
Yeah, exactly. Jim in Crown Point.
You know, why don't we have Roots a remake and the black people are the slave owners?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And how about this one makes me sick.
Jordan Peele
Legend,
can make that movie, or maybe Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
John Legend and Kelly Clarkson remade the Christmas song "Baby It's Cold Outside" because it was a seductive song. They changed the words and everything.
Thanks for the call, Jim. All right. It's just an unfortunate comment. It just speaks to, like I said, it's the biggest thing is like a great story, a great piece of art doesn't have appeal beyond the racial composition of the cast. That's just so patently absurd. All right. Speaking of art, Phil Oakley at 838. He's the veteran and event organizer. Patriots Fest is coming to a country named America. It's a nationwide musical festival highlighting those who have fought for our country. Patriots Fest. We'll talk about it with Phil Oakley at 838.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
57 degrees at 8:34. French authorities say 5 migrants, including a child, died while trying to cross the English Channel, just hours after the British government approved a migration bill. The Senate returning to Washington, voting on that $95 billion war aid bill to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan could be headed to President Joe Biden's desk. The judge in Donald Trump's case will decide today if the former president has violated his gag order. Prosecutors want him fined. Track conditions have disrupted service on the CTA Blue Line this morning. Train service suspended between Forest Park and Harlem. Shuttle buses are in place. One person was killed in a crash on the Stevenson Expressway this morning involving an SUV and motorcycle. Illinois State Police say the motorcycle was on the I-355 southbound ramp to I-55 northbound when it crashed and landed in the northbound lanes of I-55. Sox lost to the Twins 7-0. Cubs take on the Astros tonight. The news delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatment that delivers lasting results. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Michael Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
Worried about inflation, digital currencies, political turmoil, and the future of your investments? It's time to take control with Conservative Wealth Protection Group. During these times, central banks are buying gold and precious metals at record levels. But the question is, are you? With access to the cheapest bullion in the nation, we have a deep understanding of the precious metals markets. We'll reveal strategies that both the wealthy and everyday patriots just like you are using to get the most out of their tax-deferred retirement plans. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, we provide guidance without high-pressure sales tactics. Our No Fees for Life IRA program offers the lowest prices on precious metals, along with tax-free and penalty-free transfers. Explore your options with a free consultation. Call 888-964-4333. That's 888-964-4333. Protect your family and your investments. Call 888-964-4333 now.
It's 8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, they're removing an accident from the inbound on-ramp from Addison. That accident involved an IDOT truck 85 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the Ike, you're solid 25th through California. It's an hour 16 in from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson inbound, about 1 hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Dan Ryan 36, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Inbound Bishop Ford, due to an accident, you have a right lane blocked inbound between the Steel Bridge and 115. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. In our Revive Your Lawn Weather Center, we have a breezy day ahead. A thunderstorm scheduled for late afternoon and a high of 63. Weather is a service of Rasmussen University. They offer 50-plus programs from health sciences to business to nursing, online and on campus. Learn more at rasmussen.edu. Currently 57 at O'Hare and 58 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, just thinking more about the conversation we were having about Molly Ringwald and her movies, and could you imagine a Puerto Rican American making a Broadway musical that serves as a biography of Alexander Hamilton, one of our honky founding fathers, featuring a cast of mainly minorities with leads being black, actors and singers? Could you imagine that?
Oh, wait, we can, because it was a reality.
I know, it's just so stupid. I guess like with arts, like with sports, these things that should be separate and distinct from the political winds of the day. Can you just focus on making good art and just stop polluting it with idiotic identitarian politics? Good grief. I mean, how many examples do we need to go through of art being transcendent of race, like sports is transcendent of race? It's just so dumb. Annoying. All right. Speaking of art, Patriots Fest. Patriots Fest kicks off in Aurora, Illinois.
Oh.
May 18th, 2024. So May 18th, next month, in Aurora. PatriotsFest.com is where you get tickets. It's hosted by Matt Pinfield. Boy, there's a name from the past. You remember Matt Pinfield on MTV?
That's downtown Julie Brown going to be there too?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I think she's still on Sirius. So is Martha Quinn. Okay. And Matt Pinfield, remember, he hosted the 120 Minutes, that alternative music show.
Yep.
It was pretty good. He was a bit of an odd looking dude. He actually looked like the horror film character Pinhead. A little bit. He did.
Okay.
Minus the pins. Anyway, it features, it's a pretty good lineup here, I'd say. Three Doors Down.
That's good.
Ted Nugent.
Oh.
Motor City Madman.
I met him before.
Big and Rich. Cowboy Troy.
Okay.
Brandon Hart. Creed Fisher.
Wow.
And many others. So it looks to be a quite a good show. Quite a good music fest.
Bands, I actually know who they are, yes.
That's always helpful for older folk like you.
Okay, easy.
This is, by the way, the Patriots Fest, as the name sort of indicates, is organized to honor heroes that make this country great. And again, kicking off May 18th in Aurora, patriotsfest.com is where you buy tickets. And tell us a little bit more about it. We're pleased to be joined by organizer and veteran himself, Phil Oakley. Phil, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing, Dan and Amy?
Good. We're doing well. Thanks for joining us. So tell us more about the genesis of Patriots Fest, the vision for it, and what fans have in store.
Excellent question. Patriots Fest was a concept a friend of mine and a couple other military and folks that are involved in the music industry. We had been raising funds and, more importantly, awareness for veterans charities to help those that have been affected by their service for their loved ones. So we said, how can we put a show together on a bigger scale? We've been doing small ones of these in the D.C. area. How can we do it on a bigger scale and bring people to understand the sacrifices that men and women that have served have had over the years? So first thing we did was find a couple charities that I'm familiar with and work with. One of them, for example, is called Special Ops Survivors. The funds go directly to the survivors of special ops individuals that have perished in combat. That charity I've worked with maybe 6 or 7 years and met many spouses of men who've fallen in combat. And so we got the idea to bring them together, and it's really an awareness. To me, Patriots Fest, if I were to sum it up in one sentence, it's a celebration of music and military accomplishment. So that's the background, I guess, on how we came up with the idea.
And this is rolling out in Aurora on May 18th, as we mentioned, but this is going to be coming to towns across the country, I presume?
Yes, we have 4 locations that have asked us to bring the event there, and we haven't finalized it, so we won't share it. But the initial kickoff is in Aurora, and what I'll say about that, in 1983, I was stationed at Fort Sheridan, just up the road from there. So when the opportunity to go there, I decided let's do it there first, because that's when my military career started.
Well, it's hard to organize an event on this such a large proportion. How did you get all these big-name entertainers?
Well, what we did was we reached out to them, and knowing that if you make it about the military, we're not hoping to make money off of this. We're hoping to make funds for these charities, but make this an awareness event. And that's why many of them jumped on right away. As you said, we have a pretty good lineup for our first event.
And just on the Ted Nugent, I just have to ask, any possibility of like winning a bow hunting excursion with Ted Nugent or something like that if you attend? Sort of a dream of mine.
I'll take that for action. Bow hunting with Ted.
Now, I see included in the lineup is Matt Oakley. Is that in a relation to Phil Oakley?
Yeah, he keeps telling me that I'm his father, but I haven't done the 23andMe yet.
Well, how did you get Matt Pinfield?
Yeah.
Speaking of Matts, he used to host MTV, obviously.
Yeah, Matt's a legend. Matt is also a patriot, and he knows lots of people in the business. And one of the guys on our team has a relationship with him. Picked up the phone and he said, "I'd love to do it. This is honoring veterans and raising awareness." So he jumped on board, and I'm excited to see him in Chicago, a.k.a. Aurora, celebrating the careers of all these distinguished military.
And it's and this is sort of a broad range of musical genres, right? You have like Three Doors Down, which is sort of, I don't know, I'd say top 40, pop rock and country, and right. So it's a little bit. You're going to hear some different iterations of music.
Correct. The artists are diverse. What I would love to share is some of our military lineup, which we haven't even announced. Like, we started announcing it publicly. For example, we have a Medal of Honor winner who we're going to recognize. Colonel Doc Ballard. He was a corpsman in Vietnam and as a Marine, and later transitioned over to the Army, which is the better service, but we can understand why he did that. And we have general officers, we have Navy SEALs, we have Green Berets, we have Marine Force Recon. All of these very distinguished individuals who kind of operate under the radar. And most of them say, I don't need to be recognized. And it's about acknowledging their service and making sure people understand the sacrifice and the commitments that they've made.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a Medal of Honor winner that is a friend of the show. We've talked to him from time to time, participated in some of his charitable events too, which Alan Lynch, you're probably familiar with him. He's a great dude too. I think he's still local if he hasn't absconded from Illinois.
We reached out to him. Unfortunately, he's busy that day. But we have another local veteran, Richard Dick Miller, 97-year-old, who was in World War II. His ship was sunk, the Drexler in Okinawa, and he's actually going to sing "God Bless America" at the event. So
awesome!
How great is that? He's 96. He's about to turn 90. No, he's 97, about to turn 98.
So the combination too of recognizing and then educating, I like that. That's a little bit different. So just more detail about one of the organizations that stands to benefit from this, America's Future, where you're, from what I understand, this is the education piece, young people to appreciate those who serve, what those in the armed services do, and so forth.
Correct. Basically, the mantra is empowers young people to be active and curious citizens about building a freer community that leads to dignity and happiness for all. That's the tagline, But working towards a time when Americans could collaborate to drive change in their communities. They have mentoring opportunities, leadership engagement, and a national network with extensive programming that supports building a better America. And one of the things I try to explain to people, this is not a political event. Some people have asked, it sounds like a rally. This is not a political event. Being patriotic has no political leaning. Everybody in America should be patriotic. And that's what we're hoping to get across in our messaging. Like back in World War II and World War I, after these campaigns, everybody was extremely patriotic. America was the only unifying thing that we cared about. Sure, we were different, but we were unified in the sense that we cared about America and keeping America safe and keeping America moving forward together, if you will.
If people want to fly Trump flags, I mean, can they fly flags there, or a Biden flag? Although I don't think I've ever seen a Biden flag. Is that okay to do that?
Well, what I would say is we are flying the American flag. Okay. For example, we have former special operations team called the Shooters that are going to be jumping in with the American flag during the concert. And there's another flag we have. It's called the Patriots Fest flag. But it's one unifying flag. We want everybody to be unified. We don't want, we don't want this to turn into them versus us. Being patriotic is one flag. So I would say, you can bring it in your car or whatever. You want to put it on your car in the parking. We're really promoting the American flag.
Your background in the music industry, you just mentioned in passing. I'm just curious what it is.
It's funny. As a staff sergeant stationed in Germany, I used to be a disc jockey at night. That really got me into how music can be unifying and a great thing to bring people together. And then I've been doing government contracting since I retired in 2005, and I have several government-related businesses. And I was in Nashville when all this turmoil was going on in the country, and I said, I'm going to launch a record company. My wife said, what do you know about that? I go, nothing, but I know about business. And so over the last 3 years, we've been working and building this small boutique, if you will, record company called C2 Records. And we've had millions of streams, and we're doing well for a small label, but I don't want the focus to be on the label. I want it to be on Patriots Fest.
So you're like an Adrian Cronauer, Good Morning Vietnam, famously played by Robin Williams. That was part of your time in the military?
Oh, that's too funny. But yeah, it was a disc jockey, but it was at a German disco. So I would start talking in German and then communicate with the Americans in English. And it was funny because the enunciations over there, I'd say, I'd ask them, come up if you want us to play a song, and they would say, kannst du aufliegen wie die Ostern?
It's such a beautiful language. Yeah.
So romantic.
There's a lot of hach and
rolls off the tongue. So is there going to be this is the time on Sprockets when we dance portion of the program? Or
if you come there and you're willing to dance, I'm willing to put you up there, Dan, and you can dance the
I'd pay to see that. Oh,
yeah.
Well, you used to be a break dancer, right?
I
Carry
did.
around cardboard with you and parachute pants. And
I didn't quite make the cut for Electric Boogaloo. But yeah, past life. All right, so Patriot Fest, again, it's May 18th. It's in Aurora. It's at the Piazza in Aurora, right?
Correct. It's outside in the Piazza. We have everything blocked off. We have, I haven't even gone into it. We have lots of sponsors that are sending military. So if you're a former E6 and below, you can get on a list. Sponsors are buying tickets for veterans to go that are E6 and below. If you're above E6, you can afford a concert ticket that's going to charity. Just go online to the site, pass the word. If you've ever been on a military base when they have these big Memorial Day celebrations, just think of that with an amazing lineup of musicians. I mean, Three Doors Down, Ted Nugent, Big and Rich, Cowboy Troy, Demon Jones, etc. These guys are legit, and they're doing it because they want to bring awareness and raise funds for our veterans charities.
Okay, and it's hosted by Matt Pinfield of MTV fame. May 18th at Aurora at the Piazza. Get tickets, patriotsfest.com. Patriotsfest.com is where you get tickets. Phil Oakley, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck with the concerts.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you out there. Come on out, Patriots.
All right. Thank you so much. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of U-Store, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of U-Store, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All right, it's coming. The end of the school year, which means where are you going to send little Susie and Timmy off to school next fall? Well, if you've thought about private schools but thought, I can't afford it, please check out halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you can find a full year of tuition for half the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find the private school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare your child off to school this fall. Halfpriceschools.com has schools across the Chicagoland area, including St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge, St. Peter's Lutheran School in Schaumburg, Christian Liberty, Arlington Heights. Don't delay. Next school year will be here before you know it. Visit halfpriceschools.com. Don't wait. halfpriceschools.com.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You have to feel good. When you feel good, you look good. When you look good, things happen. My name's Gary. I exercise almost every day. I'm more active than the average 71-year-old man. I started taking Balance of Nature, and I can feel the benefits from it. It's been a little bit of a revolutionary product. I stand behind the product. I stand behind what I say. Balance of Nature, it's a great product for me.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Everyone knows the old saying, nothing lasts forever. Well, whoever said that obviously never bought a timeshare. Not only do your maintenance fees and assessment fees go on forever, they go up forever. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Over 10 years ago, I was a timeshare salesman. But once I saw the dark side of the business, I quit. I started helping folks get out of their timeshares. Since then, we've helped over 30,000 families by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-839-8484. That's 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, Deputy, anything to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay, great.
Although I am still thinking about what's the guy Bobbitt's name? What's his first name again?
John Wayne Bobbitt.
John Wayne Bobbitt. How could I forget? Yeah.
Or lost his toes.
Let me know if you find out how his penis is doing, will you?
Okay. Oh no, I will, because they reattached it after that 1993, cut off.
Yeah.
All right. Today it's going to be cloudy, a little rain. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He spoke before going